Okay, everybody, here we go. All right, we're going to bring the work session, August 5th, 2025, to order. First item, A, governing body, Housing Authority update.
Good morning, Mayor
Morning.
and Council, citizens, and our leadership. Yes, there's been a request for the Housing Authority to conduct a status update of the current projects underway. We have the Executive Director, Dick Chambers, here to give an update per a request from Councilman Montahan. And he has brought a couple of his folks from Walden Properties to update you as well.
Okay. And Brecca, would you introduce yourself?
Brecca Carter, Community Development Director.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chambers, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. And I want to thank you for the offer for us to come by today and to talk to you and let them know what we're doing, where we are. And so Walton is here with us today, and I'd just like to give a brief presentation and then let them take over because they have some real interesting things to tell y'all. So this has been going on for a long time with me, and y'all probably know that. I got laughed at and everything over the years. It's never going to happen. So then 2012, which was a good while back, but that's when it really got started because during the Obama administration, he had a housing secretary named Donovan, who was, prior to he came to HUD, he was the New York City Development Director, Housing Development Director. So he was real involved in affordable housing. So under Obama, the plan was to come up with something that they could have to transfer public housing into a new program and for affordable housing development. And the rental assistance demonstration was brought into being. There were a team under Donovan of about 4 individuals at HUD who developed the plan, implemented it, and ran RAD for a while. In 2012 is when they implemented it. Prior to that time, we tried to do some development here, but since we never had the old tenant voucher, housing choice. We did not have a housing choice voucher program, which was the old Section 8 tenant-based voucher program. We couldn't really do anything. We had some consultants come by and said, "Yeah, well, you could give your tear all the buildings down, but you'll be left with the land, but you won't have any."
Hang on one second. He'll finish. Okay, I think we're good.
So from 2012 on, we were doing some discussions and trying to figure out how to get into the RAD program where we could leverage what we have to provide affordable housing for the city and for the residents. And I was at a meeting, a regional meeting, I think it might have been down in Panhandle in Florida at one time, and in a room about this size, and there was a fellow there who happened to be one of those 4 people that started this program in Washington. And he retired from HUD and started his own consulting business, Jerry Anderson. So I introduced myself to Jerry, and he had already been in Georgia, working in Northeast Georgia. He and his wife live in Colorado, where he grew up. But he became a good friend and a good consultant. And he's the one that showed us the way to get into RAD, and that's where we are now. And so in 2019, November of 2019, we been in the RAD program since then. And one of the major differences in public and Indian housing, PIH, the old public housing, you have rents, operating subsidy, and capital funds. Of course, the rents come from the tenant. The subsidy started in 1960, didn't have a subsidy prior to then. And then in the 70s, you had the capital funds, which used to be competitive, but not so much that now. but those go up and down every year. And so under RAD, all those were transformed into a HALP contract. So when we went into 2019 of November, the HUD took what our rents were, what our subsidies were, and what the capital funds we had for that year, and put it into a HALP contract. And that HALP contract is increased every year. It's not decreased. We have a positive increase every year. In public housing, it can go up and down. RAD is going to go up, hopefully forever. But so that's where we are now. And so we were looking for ways to develop and some affordable housing. And so we looked around and found a good developer, Walton Communities, in my opinion, the best in the state. And then I talked to some people at Macon, Georgia, and wound up using the attorney, Scott Spivey at Macon. Scott was Macon, Georgia's housing attorney, and still are, but still is. But the Macon was one of the first 5 housing authorities in the country to go to RAD. Scott was their attorney. So we had our consultant, we had the attorney, and we had Walton. So everything's come together real well. So prior to going into construction with Walton Communities Law, we had 141 units. And they'll mention in a few minutes about the numbers we have, but we tore down 62, demolished 62 units at Old Town Homes, and those have gone into our buildings for Walton Communities. And so that left the Housing Authority with 79 units, and those are split between Anderson Homes with 25 units, Auburn Homes with 16 units, and Nunley Homes with 25 units. So we have all these together. We have 21 bedrooms, 36 two-bedrooms, 19 three-bedrooms, and 4 four-bedrooms. So we're very pleased with what we've been doing. Now, a lot of people ask, what are we going to do in the future? The Housing Authority really doesn't have any plans for the future, because believe me, since 2000, about 15 or 16, it's been nothing but trying to get into the RAD program and doing the development at Old Town Homes. So what we're doing now with our 79 units, we're planning long range to solve problems that we have. We're working on heating and air systems, plumbing systems. We have units that are first leased in 1953, then 1963, 1973, and 1983. So this past year, we at Auburn Homes, we had some problems with the lead-based, the cast iron pipes. I don't think the city's ever had a problem with that, have you? But we have. I know the city has too. So those are the things we're getting into. So we're planning for the future. So if nothing else comes along, we're going to have something very nice for our residents in the 79 units we have. So we don't know what your future will bring. We'll work closely with the city in any way that we can. But so that's basically where we are. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask me?
Questions from council? Yes, Mom Tahan.
So Dick, I got elected back in March of 2019, so I think a lot of that stuff with Walton and all that was kind of already in process. But sometimes, at some point over the course of the last few years, I've got this impression, and I don't know what the source of this impression is. I really don't. So you please clarify for me. But I got this impression that with the development of the Walton development, I guess in the development of the old Oatstone property, that the properties, that the housing would consolidate essentially. And so the Auburn and the Nunley and I can't remember the third one, would all consolidate and they would essentially move into the Walton community. But is that not Was that not the case? Was that ever the
No,
plan?
because our contract with Walton was for those 62 units in 2 phases, legacy, a senior phase, and then multifamily phase. Anything else that if we do anything else, we certainly would like to work with Walton. But we would, because of the LIHTC, which is Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, is IRS program, not a HUD program, through, and Department of Community Affairs handles that. We would have to go and procure, once again, a development team. We didn't. The only thing we did with Walton up front was for those properties at Walton at Old Town Homes. So if the plan is to do anything else, then we have to start over again with our procurement of a developer, and then go from there.
And so that would be,
get DCA's approval, go through the tax credit programs.
and you're referring to something that would essentially be like a redevelopment of, let's just say, for example, Nunnally Homes or something similar. You wouldn't, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, it's I know some housing authorities have redeveloped what they already have, but I think that's, I think it'd be much better just to build something new. But that's we work closely with the city as far as what the city likes to see. And so we just.
But right now it sounds like.
Currently, we don't have any plans at all.
That's what I'm saying. So right now it sounds like the plan, for lack of a better word, is to maintain and improve the existing improvements in our homes and properties. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Councilman Carter.
Mr. Chambers, prior to launching this development, we toured the one in Marietta, the Walton community in Marietta. It was gated, and I understood that we were going to have ours gated. Is that the plan or not the plan?
I'm sorry, I have my hearing is bad.
Okay, we toured the Walton development in Marietta prior to launching this one.
Yes.
And it was a gated community,
Right.
and we had planned to gate this one. Is that still the plan?
Have to ask them. Walton.
Oh, we don't know if that's the plan or not?
I can't recall. There are, I think it'd be, I'd rather you ask that question. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I don't get what's the answer?
I can't recall.
Walton will have to answer that one.
Okay, thank
They'll
you.
be up. Anything else from council? Councilman
So,
Marchman?
since are you all, excuse me, are you all planning to do some upkeep or do some different stuff for the one that you've already got?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're not going to build anymore, but you're going to do
That's the
something.
plan. As far as, we have a lot of plumbing problems inside and out. So we're always fixing leaks inside, things like that. So we're going to be stressing with our, we have RAD resource replacement funds that we have to use for things like that. So we're going to be looking at those problems unit by unit to get them completed. Also the heating and air there and those different things. We have new roofs on and everything, but we'll be replacing those. So that's the plan now. But if, I don't know, the board, look, I'm 79 years old. I don't know what the board's going to do in the future. So, but for the last 30 years, this has been my life. It really has, public housing authority. But so we, the future is, as I said, we have some properties, no matter what you put into them, were built in 1953. So we just don't know really what to do. And just thinking about, we know what we can have now with Walton, so that's something that the board will have to decide and to work on.
So Walton is a different entity from City Housing Authority.
Yes, ma'am. We're partners with Walton. They're managing partners, but we are partners. And but we have some major partners that give us tax credits every year, and so they're the big partners. But in about 10 years, 15 years, whatever, that'll change. They'll be out of the picture. So it'll be Walton and Villarica's. Because I might mention that Loretto North our deputy director, was planning to be here today, but she has a call-in meeting at 10:30 this morning. She serves on a committee with one of our regional associations, SHAMA, of housing developments. And so she's on the committee, so she's having to attend that conference call. But she will be the new director, executive director, when I do retire.
Anything else questions from council? Yes, Councilman Montahan.
Art, you mentioned your housing authority board. I mean, when does the board meet and who's on that board?
We're meeting quarterly. The chairman is Phil Blair. The vice chairman is Emily Hindman. Then there's Rob Smith, Cheryl Hall, and our newest member, Barbara Daniels.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we try to meet quarterly.
Okay,
Well,
that's
we have
right.
to meet quarterly in
Okay.
September.
For some reason, I thought that was a different board, but I'm familiar with that board now. I see. Okay.
Right.
But
And,
they meet quarterly, and are they open to the public, the meetings?
yes.
Okay.
and we have our committee, the mayor's committee of housing, so we probably need to connect and get updated on that level as well with the committee. And let's look at what we want to do going forward, because compared to I don't know, they built it in, is it 50s or 70s over there on 61 Dallas Highway?
Those were
Across from Tanner.
Well, 30 of those were built leased up in 1953. 32 of them were leased up in 1963.
Okay.
Now, on
Okay.
Auburn homes on Cleghorn Street, 8 units were built in 1953, 8 units were built in 1963. Those are the remaining old ones. Then Anderson Place homes on Anderson Road, they were leased up in 1973. And then Nunley homes behind the City Hall was leased up in 1983.
Okay. I didn't realize they were they're that recent, per se, compared to the others. So
We have a lot of problems with them, but they're still.
the difference between what we had, though, across from Tanner there and what we have with Walton is like night and day.
Oh, yes.
I mean, right? Night and day. So as we look at those other developments, we really need to talk about, I don't know how much it costs to go into an old, they're not really duplexes, but updating all that and what's decayed, and if it's better to go new, but that's something we need to discuss.
Well,
Now,
even
the property's all federal property, right?
Ma'am,
Housing authority property or federal property that you're on?
Housing Authority.
Okay, so the federal gives it to the housing authority.
Back when all these came up, say in the early 50s, they were purchased through bonds that the feds paid for. But they're deeded to the housing authority. We're on
That's how they
deeds of
do it.
everything.
Yeah.
But we still have to have permission to do things.
Okay, well, when we get a chance,
But
let's
we're
talk
the owner.
further about what we'd like to see going forward with the old properties and communicate
Well,
with
even
the
if
board.
we plan on doing some new development, it's going to take a few years, so we
Sure.
still have to stay with our plan to update what we have.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. Anything else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Chambers. Walton, how are y'all this morning?
Yes, here's the Walton team. I'll let Russell introduce you.
Mayor and council, thank you for the time. Russell Smith, I'm with Walton Communities. We've got Dennis McKean and Jill Dixon with me as well. So I was just going to give a quick update on the project that we're doing across from Tanner. So this is our second phase. The first phase, which we call Walton Trail, was completed in July of '22. So we've got 3 new additional buildings. Who has the slides?
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay, so this is phase 1, and then for phase 2, like I said, we're let me jump to our site plan. So this was prior to any of the construction starting. This was kind of the existing public housing that was replaced, and so this is kind of a July aerial shot. So phase 1 was 90 senior apartment homes. And then with phase 2, which is under construction right now, we're doing another 143, we call it family, so non-age restricted apartment homes in 3 buildings. The first building, which is the one that faces 61 right across from Tanner, that will be turning, we're planning to have that turned over beginning of October of this year. And then we'll complete the final building, which is the one closest to the Housing Authority's office, hopefully in January. That's our target to be complete. So right now we're about 85%. Currently we're on track for our projected completion date. The budget is looking pretty good as well for the construction budget. So again, we're super appreciative of the partnership with the Housing Authority and with the City of Villa Rica, and we are excited to be here and really look forward to other opportunities. Mr. Carter, I guess to answer your question, this is probably a good visual. There are no vehicle gates planned because of there's many streets that run through the development, but there will be breezeway gates on each building. Just the buildings.
So it's not going to be like the one we saw at Marietta. It was completely gated community.
That's correct. There's not going to be vehicle gates, but there'll be breezeway gates on each building.
Okay, thank you.
So let me keep going here. Again, we mentioned the phase 1 and then phase 2 is 143 new apartment homes. This is kind of the site plan. So we'll be relocating our leasing office, which is in the first phase, into the corner that will face 61. So again, that'll be moving in October. That's kind of a rendering of it. Obviously, it's in person now. And then I will kind of answer any questions. If there's anything about the development, then I can turn it over to Jill Dixon to speak on kind of rents and then our lease up.
I have a question. So you all are not putting elevators in this, the last one you're doing?
That's correct. They're just 3 stories, and it's family, not age restricted. So there will not be any elevators.
But it is in the first one.
That's correct.
What kind of amenities are there? Because I
Councilman
noticed,
Montague.
I guess it's going to be the leasing office, but I did notice by the side of the road that it's like a full glass windows, so I didn't know.
Right. So there'll be leasing space in that corner. There's also a fitness center that's directly beside that, and then we'll have a pavilion area. There's a playground, which will be with the rain is thrown us off. We're supposed to start playground this week. It's probably
Sure.
pushed to next week, but a playground. There'll be an outdoor pavilion, and then we'll have a laundry facility in that first building that turns over.
Okay, no swimming pool or anything like that?
No swimming
Okay.
pool.
Russell, I didn't catch your last name.
Smith, Russell Smith.
I can do that, Smith. Is it the one that's not age restricted that's coming on the other buildings? Are they going to have that type of after-school clubhouse thing going on like we saw in Marietta?
No, I don't believe we'll have an adventure center program.
You say again?
We will not have an adventure center program.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll turn it over to Jill Dixon to talk about leasing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning. My name is Jill Dixon. I'm with Walton Communities. I'm one of the area directors with Walton Communities, and Walton Trail is under my portfolio. Bear with me as I learn how to run this. This is a picture of Walton Trail Phase 1, which is our legacy building for 55 and older. This is a few of the amenity spaces. They have community programs that enrich the lives of seniors, and we base everything on educational programs, health, and wellness. Creating more social activities for our seniors because we know that they have longer longevity in their life. So this is our first phase. Our second phase of Walton Trail is for our families. We have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartment homes. These new luxury apartments are a very affordable rate. Our whole gear is towards the workforce housing. We are currently 9% leased. We have 9 residents coming back from the from Old Town that were relocated. So we're very excited for those families to join ours.
I'm sorry, Jill, real
Yes.
quick. How many in the first phase, how many were released from Old Town?
I think that we ended up with 14 or 15.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly. It's been
Okay.
a couple years now.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
So we went through the master plan. I want to show you what our rents are like with the affordable housing. If you look at a household of one person, their maximum annual income is $48,000. And to break that down in simple terms to show you this is truly workforce housing, this equals a person making $18, $23 an hour to $23.54 an hour. That's who can qualify to live in our apartment in a one bedroom. The rent would be $11.94 when your comparable rents for market are quite higher. You can see from 2 people on to 6 people, so it's really based, like if you have a single parent with just a child and the parent, it's the maximum increase is $54,840. Our application fee is $13 per applicant over 18. We have a $250 security deposit, which is refundable. Our pet fees are due upon move-in. It's a $20 pet fee per month. Of course, we have a maximum weight limit, and we do have to follow by certain breeds and mixed breeds. They might be restricted based on our insurance. And that's it. Any questions for me?
Questions from council?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman McCoy?
So this is for the multifamily. What's
ma'am.
the difference in the leasing between the multifamily and the senior?
So for 55 and older, they're very comparable.
Okay.
I'm sorry to bring that slide up, and we just had rent changes last month, so I don't want to tell you incorrectly. But they're very comparable. It's based on 60% of the median income up to 80% of the median income.
Okay, and what's the occupancy rate?
98% right now.
Okay.
Y'all have a waiting list?
We
I know
do
there
have a
used to
waiting
be, at
list.
least on the
Yes.
seniors,
Yes,
there
ma'am.
probably
We
always
do.
is. Okay.
There's always a need for affordable housing for seniors over 55.
What's the bedroom breakdown for the senior portion? Is it all one bedroom?
We
or-
have 1 and 2 bedroom
Okay,
apartments.
no 3 bedrooms.
No 3 bedrooms. No, sir. Is that it?
It's not y'all's fault, but when I look at affordable rent anymore, I think
know.
we're all just still, it's
I
just
know.
still sticker shock. We're like, it's
We
just
agree.
so expensive to live anymore, you
We
know?
agree.
Can't even get your kids out of the house. Well, mine are out. They got out before all the prices went up, because otherwise you may be stuck with your kids forever. But, okay, seriously. Any other questions from council? Okay. Councilman McCoy?
This is really probably more for the authority, but, I was gonna say though, if we're at 90% occupancy rates, and I understand investing in the properties we have and getting them to a better level, but shouldn't there be plans to probably have more housing in the future?
Go ahead.
If the occupancy rate's so high?
Certainly. As far as the RAD, though, we're never going to get any more RAD units.
Okay.
And we'll have the LIHTC, which are low-income housing tax credits. They're both in the same complex. But to answer your question, yes, I think the city needs a lot more senior housing, but workforce too. But one thing about Walton, they really manage the program well. You don't have problems at Walton communities that a lot of other areas have. And the housing authority being involved, we have to go by HUD rules and regulations too, so that helps. So that's one of the things that we know there's a moratorium on building right now with the city. So that's one of the things we consider. It takes about a year once you apply for, to get ready to do tax credits. For the Department of Community Affairs, you apply in May, I think it is, and then in October or so, you're notified if you received the award or not. If not, you have to wait another year. So there are a lot of things to consider. And so it's something that the Housing Authority and the city need to get together. And as far as moratorium, a number of developments that have been approved by the city on workforce housing. I wanted, when I first started this program, to work with the city and let everything go through the housing authority as far as development. But we won't get into that. But it's something you can work out now and try and do some things.
Okay, I was just curious what the occupancy rate was, because I remember when you were up here earlier, but you were saying it's the RAD units and everything. I was just trying to get that in my head straight, that's all.
Okay.
And there's more units coming in over, if you get behind Publix and the Parkway coming down there, is it in line? We have the one apartments, but there's senior units coming in there that are tax credited
Yes.
at some point over there just off of Cleghorn and the Villa Rica Parkway.
Right.
What do you explain? What is RAD?
Pardon.
What is RAD?
RAD is a rental
Assistance.
assistance demonstration.
Oh.
And it was the program that was started in the 70s. Oh, excuse me, 2000, when was it? 2012. I'll get it right in a minute.
So what, like,
Councilman
if we're-
Montahan.
so the, I'm sorry, so the when you said RAD housing, what does that exactly mean? Like, what's an example of that, Dick?
Well, it's just, you have public housing, then you have RAD housing. We're no longer in public housing, public
Okay.
and unit housing. We're in the Office of Multifamily Housing under HUD.
Okay. And so an example of that would be like the Walton community would be an example of the RAD housing would be the.
Well, the RAD, we're RAD, our 79 units. We were RAD with 141 units.
Okay.
We just, the Walton communities happen to have 62 units in the
Okay.
development. So that development is a combination. It's still low-income housing tax credits through DCA, but it also has a RAD program there. They have a HAP contract. It's a HAP contract from Washington for 62 units. Well, there'll be
Okay.
two HAP contracts, one from seniors and one for multifamily. So they have to go by those rules and regulations too.
I see. Okay.
Oh, that brings. I have one more.
Councilman McCoy.
Have one more question. This might actually be for Walton, but when you say tax credits, are the developers getting the tax credits, or are the renters getting the tax credits?
Oh, no, the senior development was about a $23 million building complex, some in that neighborhood. And the tax credits, I think it's about $850,000 a year. Yeah, he can handle that.
Yeah, so there's two cycles in Georgia. There's the spring May 9% session or option, and then the 4% tax credit option in October. So you apply each year for the tax credits. You are awarded basically a 10-year slug of those tax credits, and then you will bring an investor in to buy those tax credits, and that's how you fund the construction costs. So the Department of Community Affairs awards those tax credits each year.
Okay.
And then to answer kind of your RAD question, when the Old Townhomes community exited HUD exited the Declaration of Trust, they actually, I believe we absorbed 35 RAD units on this new phase. So in order to allow the Housing Authority to exit the HUD program, you have to take those RAD units and integrate those into the new development. So Walton Trail Phase 2 will have 35 RAD units, and that's effectively, as Dick was mentioning, the RAD program is more of an income-based voucher program integrated with the rest of the income restrictions throughout the community.
Yeah, I guess the larger question, and I don't know if this is what Ms. McCoy was trying to refer to, but kind of in my mind, like, what happened to the folks who were living in those Old Town? Are they all now in the Walton? Are they in other parts of the other
Yeah,
properties?
So, yeah.
Well, we planned ahead.
Oh, you'll have to get on the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah, the people on audio and the recording won't be able to hear
We were
you.
trying to get ahead of the game on this. So as housing became vacant for about 2 or 3 year period there, we left them vacant.
Okay.
And so a lot of the apartments were empty. I can't remember how many, but a lot of them were empty. We had some people who, by the time they were, that died, elderly and others deceased. And then we had a lot to move over to the Housing Authority. Some moved with their family, some moved to Arkansas and different places, one did, and others moved in with family. And then a lot of residents moved into the Housing Authority. And some of them don't really want to go back or go to a new complex. They like me so well, they just no. They're seniors and they don't want to move for whatever reason. But everyone had the opportunity to move back there.
Okay.
Okay, now, Mr. Chambers up here, you mentioned the area behind the post office back down in there. That, you have a plan to redevelop that?
That's a possibility, but who knows?
We don't have one in work now. We don't have a plan in work to redevelop that area?
No.
I think what we've demonstrated today is we need to get updated more often. We need to have that committee active, and we need to have somebody coming so that we're not, I mean, some of these questions, and with newer people on the council, some of us went to Marietta, we know that information. But that needs to be passed along to everybody so that we can be better informed. So I know it took a little longer today because we had more questions just because of all that's going on and understanding, and all the terms you've known for decades. RAD and everything else that's, your common language that we're going, what's that? And so thank you, y'all, for giving us the update and answering the questions we had. We appreciate it. Walton is a big improvement to what we had over there. Excuse me.
Okay.
All right, if we're finished there, we will move to item 2, downtown streetscape. Mr. Teal.
Mark Teal, city engineer. So yes, as a result of a Livable Centers Initiative project through the Department of Community Affairs, I'll skip all the acronyms. And so as a result of that, we obtained a grant for the north side downtown streetscape, and it pays, federal government pays 80, we pay 20%. And so Mr. Robert Renwick with Keck and Wood is the head of that team with tool design also, and it includes the engineering and design of the streetscape downtown. And Mr. Renwick has a presentation for you. Robert Renwick.
Good morning.
All right, thank you, Mark. Good morning, Mayor and Council. As Mark said, my name is Robert Renwick, and I am with Keck and Wood. And I'm joined by teaming partners Eric Childs and Kevin Bacon with Tool Design. And our team is preparing the design for the streetscape improvements in the area of Main Street and Temple Street, right outside of this facility. So we appreciate the opportunity to share with you the concept layout that's been developed and discuss a little bit of the process and how we arrived there. So the vision for this project actually originated out of a planning study that was completed a couple years back, and Eric and his team actually led that study. So I'll let him kind of start there with a recap of that study and describe how we've built off of that into the concept layout that you've got in front of you. Eric, if you want to take it from there.
Thank you, Robert. So this project builds directly on that 2021 LCI plan, which emphasized walkability, placemaking, and a vibrant downtown. And one of the things that came out of that study was our interactions with the community. And when we asked the public what aspirations are most important for creating a livable and vibrant downtown, 97% of respondents prioritized expanding the walkable downtown district. 86% prioritized making the public realm beautiful and safe. And then 62% supported creating a public green space to anchor business activity and community life. So you can see that initial concept on the sheets you have and up on the screen as well. So if we go to the next slide. This diagram of downtown Villa Rica today shows that the big move of that 2021 LCI study was to realign Main Street at Loft Lane to connect to Temple Street. And that becomes your new primary civic space. That new street alignment was designed as a flush or curbless street. It's going to feature high-quality materials and furnishings, generous pedestrian and amenity zones, street trees, native plantings, angled and parallel parking, and two-way traffic. This consolidates redundant infrastructure, it improves safety, and it creates the opportunity to craft a signature civic space in the heart of downtown Villa Rica. So earlier this March, we held a design workshop for 3 days, March 19th through 21st. We saw several of you there. We also met with local residents, other stakeholders, police, city staff, and business owners. We kept that big move of realigning Main Street at Loft to connect to Temple, and we adjusted those transitions to make them even more pedestrian-friendly and safer. It requires drivers who want to drive on Temple Street to slow down and make a more intentional turn. And one of the goals of that March workshop was to make sure that concept from 2021 was something that the community and leadership here still desired. And so during that workshop this spring, we heard strong support again for improving walkability and providing more spaces for people. We also heard that it's really important to provide an environment where businesses can thrive on Temple Street. And so we believe our design is a response to that desire to shift from a car-first downtown to a people-first experience while balancing the needs of everybody. So we aim to create a concept that focuses on accessibility, safety, economic vitality, and public life. And so now I'm going to kind of walk through some of the details of the concept, which you all have seen before, but we want to have a chance to share it with a wider audience. So some of the key elements here on Temple Street itself, we are maintaining two-way travel lanes. They are currently at 10 feet wide. That'll promote calm traffic flow. As I mentioned before, we're keeping a flush street. So what that means is no curbs. We're addressing stormwater, and we can get into the details of that. But the purpose of that is to maximize accessibility, to accommodate public events such as festivals, and to provide a visual and textural cue to people driving through the space that it's pedestrian first. They're guests in the space, and it encourages slower through movements. Generous sidewalks on both sides of the street will allow for outdoor dining, trees, and space for people. Angled and parallel parking is provided. And then a number of new amenities. The Great Lawn, or Gold Miners Green as it was referred to in the 2021 study, provides a flexible gathering space. We have terrace seating along the edge that holds back the grade up to the railroad tracks. It also provides a great people watching spot. The Grove next to the pavilion, which is a shaded area where people can enjoy snacks, drinks, and casual games such as table tennis or beanbag toss and the like. And then a fountain plaza that serves as a visual landmark into downtown at the corner of Temple and Carroll. So we'll zoom in a little bit. This shows a playground space at the corner of Loft and Temple. It would be elevated, so what we're trying to show here is that the Goldway shared use trail is at the same level as this playground, and then you step down, you would be up higher than the Grove, looking over it, and then the Grove itself is another place for people to gather. We're showing it as a crushed stone surface. It would benefit from a small coffee or snack bar located in the pavilion. Those are the types of opportunities we're hoping to see. And it offers another place for parents to monitor kids on the playground. And then shifting over to the Great Lawn, that's about 40 feet wide. There's a staircase up to the railroad crossing that provides a connection to the south side of downtown. And again, that terrace seating provides great people watching, And then the Fountain Plaza, that's your landmark for entering down the heart of downtown. It can serve as a quiet, restful place as well. We've provided planters, bench seating, and shade trees. So this is showing basically a section of what this might look and feel like through Temple Street and through the playground. So if you can see the diagram up above, that red line is basically slicing through downtown. So on the left, you see the existing buildings on Temple. And starting from there, you have about 12 feet of space for building frontage, and that can be used for outdoor dining or other uses as the business owner sees fit. 10 feet clear for sidewalk space, and then you have an 8-foot wide space for parallel parking and a furnishing zone. So that's where your street trees will be implemented at a regular sequence. Then you 10-foot travel lanes, angled parking adjacent to the playground, again with street trees, bookending parking spaces at an interval of about 5 spaces or so. And then you have kind of a tilted plane of planting that borders the playground, staircase up, and then a space for a small playground, and then you're adjacent to the Goldway. And then you have about a 35-foot buffer to the railroad tracks. And then this section cuts through the center of the Great Lawn. So again, about 40 feet wide, and you can see the terrace seating there on the left-hand side of the drawing, adjacent to the Goldway. So we're excited about what this could look and feel like for downtown. And I think with that, I want to pass it back to Robert to close us out.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for that. So just an overview of where we are in the project and the next steps. As you can see, we're working through the concept phase right now. Our goal is to finalize the concept layout and prepare a package of the concept layout and supporting documentation and provide that to the Georgia DOT, who is responsible for oversight of the design process. So we hope to get that to them, maybe this fall for their review and approval, and then we'll move into detailed engineering design and preparation of construction plans. And then, as Mark mentioned at the start of this presentation, this project is federally funded. So with those federal funds, there is additional requirements for permitting and design and environmental documentation. So we'll take a little bit of time to work through that federal process. And Georgia DOT's current project schedule allows for the project to be ready for bidding and construction in early 2028. So.
I'm sorry, let me get my mic on here. Councilman Wormuth?
I know you mentioned federal funding. How much is covered? Like what percentage is covered by federal?
So it is a 80-20 split. So 80% federal, 20% local match.
So is there an idea of where that 20% is going to come from?
From us.
Yeah.
Well, understood, but in the budget.
Yes.
Let me rephrase that. In the budget, where is that 20% going to come from?
Probably SPLOST would be the first funding source option that we would go to.
Okay. And I'm asking that because I've had a business in downtown for 13 years now, and we have discussed improving downtown ever since I have been in business. So, and it never seems to play out. So that's why I'm asking as to where that funding is going to come from, because it's time for some improvements in downtown, and making it more walkable is, of course, the top priority. In this plan, I see right up here at the intersection that there were plans for making that a little more, or making that walkable. Is that correct?
That's right.
Over the tracks?
So the project does not extend across the railroad tracks. So
Okay.
the project area is completely on the north side, this side of the railroad tracks.
So my concern is, because you mentioned the businesses, the existing businesses on Temple Street, but we've got quite a bit of wonderful businesses across on Montgomery and on Wilson Street. I've seen many businesses come and go in that area because they're not receiving that support either. And just something as simple as, I mean, this is wonderful, but for citizens to be able to travel from one side of the tracks to the other, because those tracks are what causes such a challenge for our downtown district. And something just that simple, and I say that simple, but I understand that there's a lot of other hoops that would need to be jumped through with that. But to make it walkable with safety measures in place for walking over those tracks, to get citizens from one side to the other.
So there is currently a Georgia DOT project that has improvements to the intersection of 78 South Carroll and North Carroll, which includes some pedestrian improvements there as well. I don't have the dates on the project. I'll find out and I'll let everybody know.
That would be wonderful, because I would love to know what kind, because we have one pedestrian light in all of downtown Villarica, one. And that is on the opposite side where people are not walking as much. They're walking right here across to Temple Street from Montgomery Street, right here at this big intersection in front of the mill. So that's where people are walking regardless. If there's an event going on at the mill, they're walking across right there, even though it's not technically a pedestrian crosswalk. So, you know, something as simple as that, with some kind of crosswalk, I would like to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Or I mean, lights, should I say. So, yeah, I would love to see what plans are in place for
And
that.
we were looking at another crossing too, where the existing steps are. It's, I guess, down close to where the crosswalk is, mid-block. And we had some issues with Georgia DOT there, because their project, they've got a project that extends into that, and it would take out the, it's called switchback ramps to get ADA accessible over the tracks. So we're still working with DOT, Georgia DOT on that, and I'll get some more information on the project at North Carroll, South Carroll, and 78.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman McCoy?
Okay, first, let me preface, I don't hate this, okay? Let me preface, but I have a lot of concerns. Number one is parking, because this great lawn looks like it's gonna be taking up a whole lot of parking that's already there. So where is everybody else gonna park? Because when I go to that area and I park by the police station or park behind it, that's a little bit long of a walk, and especially I'm usually by myself. That if it wasn't by the police station, I would be a little more concerned. So parking is one of my concerns. The other one is the playground, right by a railroad track. I had a 3-year-old who was a runner, and I could just see a kid that's a runner just darting across that train track. So what safety measures are in place to make, is there a fence around this, something like that, to make sure, like, the kids just don't dart or wander into something? I know maybe that's a unique situation. My other concern, which is really nothing to do with y'all, but you were talking about like cornhole and all these things. This is all the things you talked about, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm this age group, is very millennial things to do, but yet our concerts are for Gen X and boomers. So if we're gonna put the money through to do this, we need to put the money in. That's more for council, not y'all. I don't mean to look at y'all while I'm saying that, but we need to put the money into Main Street to get the concerts that will drive the people that will like this, that will use this, that will people watch, that will play cornhole and all that stuff, instead of the concerts that are for an older age group. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that. And then to Stephanie's point, what I I was going to say is that, yes, the train track is very much a divide, and I understand that's really hard to work with. But we don't want this side to look amazing and fabulous and the other side not have any kind of improvements or anything, because that's not good for the businesses over there, and that's not a cohesive look for the city in general. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm done.
All right, yeah, I can chime in on some of those, and Eric, if you want to join me as well. So I guess starting with the south side. So Eric, do you know if the LCI study area from 2021, it encompassed a larger area than just this, didn't it? Did it not?
It had multiple areas, including
Yeah.
Fullerville.
Okay.
The 2021 study encompassed multiple areas, including Fullerville, but the streetscape improvements were focused on the north side downtown streetscape.
And then I guess regarding programming, I feel like the layout that we've got, there's various, rooms, what we've called, that I think have flexibility for how they will be used, whether it's cornhole or, whatever.
Or like adding some fencing where the children are playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Something could be put in there that's.
I don't think we're quite at the level of detail for, fencing and things like that, but certainly safety for that playground will be something that comes to mind.
Kids are slippery. Those
They
little kids are
I've
slippery.
Got 2 young kids myself. And then parking. So parking is something that's come up in discussion, throughout the development of this project. I know the city just finished construction on, was it approximately 50 spaces? Just
Right
behind
back
you.
here.
Back here? I'm turning around a little bit. But Eric, do you want to just touch on your experience with this kind of application?
Sure. And I'll add one note about the playground design too. As a father of a 8-year-old and 6-year-old, I have runners too. We're very, very aware of the importance of clear boundaries for playgrounds. So that will get developed as the design progresses. This is more about showing this is the footprint, this is where it's going to be, but very good point. As far as parking goes, as Robert noted, that has been part of the discussion all along. This is a trade-off. It's a trade-off in terms of, what do you want your downtown to be? And right now, it serves vehicles and parking at the expense of vibrancy, walkability, and a place that really, creates the setting for economic vibrancy. And that's not to say you don't have that now, but we have worked in other towns where they did understand this trade-off and they made the choice to invest in their downtown in similar ways, which oftentimes involved things like, narrowing lanes or reducing parking or even both, while also upgrading the experience of the public realm. Now, there are some specific things you can do to address parking concerns. One is, working with the owners of private lots for shared parking agreements. We during the workshop, we identified a number of spots that are, within 2 or 3 minutes walk of downtown, if that. Another thing you can do is consider making the experience of getting to those lots or from those lots to downtown better. A third thing you can do is make it super clear through good wayfinding and signage. This is where our public lots or our shared parking lots are, so that people know where to go. And then incorporating thoughtful drop-off curbside management strategies on Temple Street, because we recognize that's still going to get used to some extent, and it does include, I think, 36 or 37 spaces. So it's part of a specific strategy of what do you do to use the other parking spaces you have in downtown, make it more pleasant, more inviting for people to get to and from those spaces to downtown. And then it's also about what do we want this place to be. And that's something we've worked with a number of towns on.
Councilman Momtahan.
I believe it was the 2021 LCI, and it may be another plan, but there was a proposal for a pedestrian bridge across the tracks. Was that part of this? Was that part of the 2021 plan?
I know that we studied that. I think we looked at both a tunnel and or a bridge.
We did way back.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that Chris Montesino's presented us with a plan that had some sort of pedestrian bridge.
He did, but also we have a conceptual plan for an at-grade crossing, which was a lot more affordable for Villa Rica. And that would be that midway area where right now it's, a little suicidal to go down that one side, right? And we have a conceptual plan. I have an email. I can send it to you sometime, but we have to do a switchback on the other side because there's the drop from 78 to get up to the tracks. But it's right there in the middle. And while we need to improve this, there's still a giant gap between that one and Chief Street, which also isn't pedestrian friendly at all. And to have that mid-grade that goes right over to where those businesses are on that side. So, the tunnel, I think, didn't allow the space. It was going to come up in some weird, and they're really expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
The over-the-top one, it's expensive. I know we got to get okay from Norfolk Southern one way or another, but I don't know. I mean, it's not me, but how many people are going to spend 6 minutes getting up to get across to go down on something you can walk in a minute? I don't know, but that at-grade crossing, I don't see why we can't do that. And I just was down in Hapeville and got to visually see finally what I'd seen the pictures of how they put that fencing along there. Norfolk Southern likes that.
Yeah.
They like that when you block off that area where we can't just cross willy-nilly like we do during Gold Rush Festival, people sitting on the tracks.
Right.
You put that up and then make that center crossing. That could be a game changer for us. I mean, we have a lot of concepts. We just haven't, we've got more funding now. LCI actually doing this. The Renaissance one was what, 2015?
Yep.
Y'all remember 2015? But the Renaissance plan came with no money. So
Right.
people were excited, we're doing it, we're looking at the plans, but we can't do it. We've tried to integrate the Renaissance some with this. I see us trying to still see that we have the Veterans Walk or something along that line in there to integrate the two, but the LCI is what is making us eligible for grants because we're doing it. We only have to do the 20% match. And then we qualify for grants that we couldn't have qualified for prior, which then gives us some money to do it with.
And my next question was, so a couple years ago, Norfolk Southern, which I think they merged with Union Pacific now, but they basically made us clear out, like, the trees and everything along the tracks. I think we relocated some of the crepe myrtles over to the library, and that's why we essentially have this rock park now. And so with this concept, you do seem like you're a little bit outside the line of vision from the conductor, but with these trees or this playground, any of this be within that area that we would need to consider not having a structure that blocks the line of vision of the conductor? Because apparently that's what that was about, from what I understood.
Yeah, so the entire project is actually within the Norfolk Southern Railroad right away.
Right, they go up to the front door of this
Yes.
building.
So
even.
they will be heavily involved with review and approval of whatever improvements are proposed here.
Okay. But this hasn't been run by them yet, just yet, though?
Not just yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Councilman McCoy.
I'm just heeding this warning. I know this is probably out of scope. I get this is just a concept, and it does look good. But I'm just saying, I don't feel this is, if we build it, they will come. If we're going to do this and put the money towards this, even though it is only 20%, but if we're still going to put our money towards that, we need to make efforts in multiple departments that we're going to make this a space that the people want to come to. It's not a we're going to build it and they will come situation. It is, we got to work with the police and Main Street and maybe Parks and Rec and a whole bunch of other stuff in order to make this what the concept actually is. This is just my warning. I'm just putting it out there for the record, but that is And we can't neglect the stuff on the other side of the railroad track either, because no one wants to go and be like, oh, that looks amazing, and then be like, oh, that looks sketchy. I don't mean it that way, but that was my high level.
I agree with that, particularly that last point. I agree with all your points. But what do they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. So this is just first phase of, and I do think that 2020 LCI did part of that pedestrian bridge, and I think I remember like watching the video. I think Ken Denny maybe presented some video a year or two ago, and it had an AI voice of a very familiar person in Villa Rica, and that just kind of drove us through all that. Gosh, it's been so long. That's
That
probably
was
2
a
years
couple.
ago.
I remember that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's outside of what y'all are doing, but we have concept plans for the alleyways too. And some of it's not expensive. It's easy things that we could do, both on the other side and just down here on the other end of Temple Street by the loft apartments.
And really, I mean, these big transformative projects can be catalysts to get people excited about phase 2, phase 3. We've seen that throughout.
Yeah, and if you go to Dahlonega or any of those places, you're not going to park right on the square. I mean, once in a while you luck out and get one, but we think everything's supposed to be like 10 feet for us. We have parking right down here that's maybe a block away, that's next to the old Methodist church, that's all ours, underutilized. Part of it, I think, is private, and the rest of it's ours, right behind Carl's accounting business there. So we've got other parking that we don't even think about at times. Yes, Councilman Wormuth.
I do think that the parking will be utilized more when our downtown area is more pedestrian friendly, because it's not. And so right now, especially somebody with young children would want to make sure that they're finding a spot that is close to where it is that they're going. But just please, 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 don't forget the other side of the tracks. Downtown is downtown. It is not one side of the tracks that is downtown. The other side of the tracks, it's all downtown. And please, just your phase 1, include those walking paths to make it more pedestrian friendly for both sides. That is my number 1 request, my number 1 complaint since I have been in business. And again, I have seen so many businesses close because it's not walkable for their customers. And that is one of the main reasons that a lot of these businesses are not successful, is because you've got one side that it's just not walkable for people.
Yeah, there's no foot traffic.
There is absolutely no foot traffic. And I hear all the time Temple Street and the businesses on Temple Street. And don't get me wrong, we need the success for the businesses on Temple Street as well. But the other side is just it's being forgotten about. So just please include all of downtown in these concepts.
Thank you. Are y'all okay if we move along? Okay, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys. Item 3, Georgia Local Government Personnel Association presentation.
Good morning. Jennifer Hallman, Interim City Manager. I wanted to bring forth a certification that our own HR Director has received. Both the Mayor and I received a letter from the Georgia Local Government Personnel Association, the GLGPA, congratulating her on her certification. The GLGPA offers 2 professional certification programs designed to enhance the knowledge, skills, and the abilities of those responsible for the management and administration of personnel systems in local government in Georgia. Once those professional certifications are complete, members continue to earn continuing education credits by attending continuing education programs offered at each of the conferences. The educational conferences provide pertinent and up-to-date information to keep local government HR professionals on top of their game. This program consisted of 13 courses, 84 credit hours that were equally roughly around 6 conferences over 3 years. So I just wanted to take this time to congratulate Tiffany on her achievement. She has been with the city now going on 5 years, and she has served HR very well. She has built back relationships, trust within the departments, and I know with me working with her as the CFO and as interim city manager, she's a pleasure to work with, great personality, easy to talk to, and is exactly what you look for in an HR director. So, this is her certificate from the University of Georgia. Carl Vinson Institute of Government, in partnership with the local government, Georgia Local Government Personnel Association, hereby certify that Tiffany Lanford has satisfactorily completed and met the requirements of the Certified Human Resource Manager, June 13th, 2025. Congratulations. Thank you. Take a picture. You want to come down here for a picture?
Item 4, 20th Annual Don Rich Ford Villa Rica Frontier Rodeo.
Yes, I just wanted to say that Clint Chance, our Carroll County Commissioner, along with the Don Rich Ford Villa Rica Frontiers Rodeo, have a request for temporary signage that would be put up and removed no later than August the 26th. But Clint, I believe, is here, so he will give you the details of the rodeo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Clint Chance, and I'm serving as the Chief of Operations for the Villa Rica Frontiers Rodeo. It's been 20 years since we started that event here in Villa Rica, actually at the V-Plex back in 2006. It since has grown to be the largest and longest consecutively running pro rodeo event in all of West Georgia's history. To give you a couple of background information on the event, it's also a major fundraiser, has been since day one for some of our local sports teams. This year, the Villa Rica High School Band Boosters will be making certain proceeds from the event. And also our committee has recognized, since we bring so many people in from the West Georgia community, that we needed to consider maybe some outside sources as well. So Temple High School, their soccer team will also be benefiting from certain proceeds as well with the event. Regarding the signs themselves, it's essentially the same thing that we're asking for each year. The signs are printed brand new, so they're nice looking. They're not old signs. They will each be numbered, so we know we have an inventory record of everywhere where they're at. We all know what it's like to see signs that are sitting somewhere for 7 months and nobody comes back to get them. So they're all numbered. We get either the property owner's permission, or we get the business that's running on that particular property, the management's permission to be able to put those out. And as Ms. Hallman said, we try to pick those up the first day within the city limits, first business day after the event, so we try to clean those up very quickly afterwards. We've had a lot of permits that we have to apply for. I won't go into all of them to be able to have the event, but a couple of main local ones here is the Department of Health through Environmental Health, a state agency, and also the Georgia Department of Agriculture has to approve our event. Safety precautions for the event, we hire the Villa Rica Police Department, some of their off-duty officers. They handle security inside the venue. They also handle traffic control. They will be there on Highway 61 as people are coming in and out. For those of you that have not seen our advertisement, we're going to be in a new temporary location in the huge field there located beside the V-Plex this year for our 20th annual. It's a lot larger size for us, and we're excited about the new location. West Georgia Ambulance will also be on site, have ambulatory services there that remain throughout the entirety of the event, and no alcohol is permitted on the property or to be sold there. We pride ourselves in this being a family-oriented event. It's not required for our application, but we do each year insure the city of Villa Rica as an additional insured on our multi-million-dollar insurance policy, and you have a copy of that in your packet as well that we do as a courtesy for you, hopefully approving our event and signage here. The economic development side, I always like to say it's twofold. We think about the thousands of people that we bring into our city for this event over a 2-night period, that hopefully will eat at our restaurants, fill up their gas tanks, stay in our hotels. But the other half of that equation is our residents that we actually keep in our community over the weekend to spend. You have a lot of people that work during the week, and they may actually go outside of town to go play top golf. Maybe they go bowling, maybe they go skating, maybe they go to the mall, maybe they do other activities that we're going to be able to retain them. So it's not just about attracting new faces here, it's about keeping our own residents to spend their money in our community as well during this event. I want to thank the Community Development Department and also the Office of the City Manager for processing our application to bring it here today for your consideration. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I appreciate your consideration on the agenda item.
Questions from council? All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
This does require approval. Is there anyone opposed to making this consent item number 1?
No objection.
All right, item number 5 under governing body, consultant for charter review. Ms. Smith, who is filling in for Attorney Drummond today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. Thank y'all for having me. We had some questions about a charter review and a consultant, and on July 22nd, 2025, Kevin and I believe you were on a call with Lori Brill with the UGA Carl Vinson Institute of Government, and they plan on preparing and making a formal presentation at the upcoming work session in September, most likely. They're going to provide a comprehensive review and an update, but they wanted to ensure that you were aware that this would likely not begin until next year. So if there are any more urgent items that you would like changed, we need to handle those in the next legislative session. So I think that's everything. Oh, and it's about a year-long process too, so.
Okay, questions from council? So they'll give a presentation of if we do it for you rather than you reviewing it yourself, like we did last time, I guess, with some community input. They would propose this is how much it'll cost, and then we will assist you going through this review. They'll go through it.
Yep.
And then work with us. Okay. All right, if nothing else, we'll go on to item 6, ethics ordinance.
And this was brought to Mr. Drummond. He said we'd been asked to comment on some alternatives to the ethics ordinance. This has been discussed previously, but the current ordinance does not provide authority to take corrective or punitive action against someone who violates the ethics ordinance. There are other more effective ways to do so, and he has provided a non-exhaustive list. If the violation is a violation of a criminal statute, it could be investigated by law enforcement and prosecuted by the district attorney or a solicitor. If the public official has refused to perform their required duties, then an individual could file a mandamus action in Superior Court of Carroll County. If an individual believes that a public official took an improper action, such as approving a contract or a zoning issue, then that individual could file a declaratory judgment action. Several of these would take place in the court system, which is just an avenue that provides relief. If someone believes a public official has violated a campaign finance requirement, they could file a complaint with the State Ethics Commission. And a petition for review can be filed in Superior Court to challenge a judicial or quasi-judicial action of the city. So if you have a governing board that makes a decision, then you can have a petition for review of that decision. So those are just a list of some options, and if there's any questions.
Yeah, when we're going to want to have discussion, because I actually asked for this to go back on our agenda because it's been now 6 months, I would say, We set up the commission, started working on that in January, February, and it was agreeable amongst everyone that this wasn't a good ordinance. The way it was set up wasn't good. The results that you can get don't give you, like you said, either punitive, removal, office, whatever that might be. So we all agreed it was a bad ordinance, and yet now we're 6 months later and we're still living under under that ordinance, and it's being used. It's taken a lot of time. There's thousands of dollars in taxpayer money that's being spent related to an ordinance that we agreed is not a good one. It has no, Mr. Drummond had mentioned before that it has no mechanism for frivolous filings. So no matter what it is, it could be a valid filing, it can be frivolous. We still have to handle it, and that requires legal time, time from the commission we've set up, and everything else. And the reason I had it put on today is because I feel like we need to make a decision. 6 months. 6 months we've been complaining about an ordinance, and we've done nothing with it except that it's continuing to being used. I picked these up at the convention this year. These are little tabs you can take off, and they're sticky. You can take it off and stick it on. It says City of Ethics. So for GMA, if you would adopt this ordinance and do certain things and check the box, you could call yourself a City of Ethics. But it doesn't make you a city of ethics. And having the ordinance doesn't make you keep all those things in line, because we've seen how it works. And so these are the other options, which you read off. This is not an exhaustive list. But we don't feel like it's right to say, well, everybody says this is bias, and if we set up a board locally, it's seen as bias. But people need to have somewhere. They need to know where they can go, because they're going, well, if I got a problem and I feel like, an official in the city is doing something wrong, I got to have an avenue. And so that's why this was provided. I'm sorry we can't put it up. I know I have a copy of it. I printed it out with what you read off. And we need to make something available to the citizens so that they know, if I have a problem, what would I look at? But anyway, that's why it was on today. That's why we're trying to at least begin educating ourselves and others about what avenues can be taken that would actually give somebody a solution, that would be adjudicated in a court system or elsewhere, or the state ethics board, where there's people that are actually trained to handle these type of things. So I'll open it up to council. Questions, comments, questions for Ms. Smith, or we can go right into discussion. Any questions for Ms. Smith? Okay, then we can go right into discussion.
I agree. It's not a good ordinance whatsoever. It's already. I think we've had something like 12 complaints filed. I think all of them were dismissed because being frivolous or improper or not appropriate whatsoever. I'm just, I don't know that just because it's being misused or abused right now, that's something that I necessarily agree that we need to repeal it. I do think that when it comes to coming to trying to recoup taxpayer money that's being spent on these ordinances, I do think we should maybe have an appropriate filing fee. And I think, and also provide an avenue for those persons who cannot afford that filing fee to have some sort of waiver, but have a filing fee to help kind of offset cost and recoup costs that we spend on it. That's my current thought. So.
Anyone else? Councilman McCoy.
Well, I agree. I kind of agree with Matthew. The only thing everybody can agree on is this ordinance is awful. That's I think everybody out there and up on this podium can agree with that. It's a horrible ordinance. I don't like that it has taken a whole lot of taxpayer money to do these. But on the flip side is, I think it gives some form of transparency and some form of accountability to the public that they have the opportunity to do this. That's how I see it in my head, is that there needs to be, this is not the best mechanism. I'm not even saying it is. Don't think I am. But there needs to be a mechanism before it maybe gets to these other 5 options that have been laid out before us. But my thing, I am not opposed to a filing fee, a reasonable filing fee to help recoup some of these costs, because we got to offset something because of the money. But I do think that it's important to have that kind of transparency for us, even though at the end of the day, this isn't, as the mayor said, this isn't any real relief. They would have to go to a more specific route.
Okay, so I would urge repeal, and the reason I would urge repeal is we've had attorneys tell us it's not giving people what they want. We're spending thousands of dollars in taxpayer dollars. We just repeated that there's no real relief. Then if we start charging people a fee, we're going to say, oh, well, if you have a complaint, you've got to pay this amount of money. But then to recoup some of the money that we're spending for an ordinance that won't give them the answer that they want or have any real consequences in the end. And yet, even if we charge $250, it's going to come nowhere close to the thousands of dollars it's costing to handle each one if you consider what legal fees are hourly, depending on the attorney and how many hours they're spending on it with research and everything else. Only to still keep, even if we tweaked it, to still have one that people are going to say is bias. Even if we don't set it up with us, what are we going to do? We're going to appoint local people that still live in the community that could be somebody's friend, or that it's not going to be seen as independent. But the bottom line is we're going to keep spending money, maybe charge people a fee that they can pay or can't pay, or that they don't understand why we're charging them a fee, because that's on our side, we're making it cost prohibitive, and we might very well do that. You know, somebody's going, oh, well, I have a concern. Oh, now you're going to charge me to make a complaint for you to look at. So it's my opinion. Others may feel differently. But if it doesn't get you what you're looking for in the end and it gets you no consequences, why will we continue to spend people's money this way when there are other avenues to take for citizens? Citizens are not blocked from dealing with corruption in government, violation of ethics, whether it's financial ethics or others. There are avenues to take. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. I just can't fathom that we're going to keep spending money on something that in the end has no consequences. And people look at it as bias by whichever board we set up. Councilman Warmoth.
I know we're past the question point. Roughly how much have we spent with the ethics complaints?
I couldn't even give you an amount. I mean, you have legal fees that charge by the hour, and, you know, we'd have to go through all the legal bills to see, because they're itemized. But on top of that, you have staff time, particularly the clerk, that has to spend a lot of time getting the information, setting the meeting, getting all of the administrative duties aligned as well. And while, yes, she's here to be paid 8 hours a day regardless, that's taking her away from the normal clerk duties that she is responsible for from that point.
So there's not even, I mean, I hate to put you on the spot. Would you say it's more than 5,000?
Kevin would. Kevin
Yeah.
has said he would not be
More
surprised.
than 10?
Yeah.
I've heard around that he wouldn't be surprised if we've broached 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm asking because if we're spending $10,000 is roughly where we're at right now, on ethics complaints where, again, what comes, even if, hypothetically speaking, there was wrongdoing found, there's really nothing, what would come of that? So we're spending you wouldn't spend $10,000 in legal fees knowing that you're gonna go to court and have zero result.
Correct.
I mean, at least I wouldn't spend $10,000 on legal fees and have no end result from it. So I would imagine that taxpayers aren't going to like that kind of money is going towards something that nothing's going to come of it. The process as far as everything that you just read on where the complaints can be sent. Where would that be accessible for citizens? If they had complaints, where would they find that information?
Well, the State Ethics Committee information will be online available to them. I think a simple Google search would provide where they would want to submit that. And then a mandamus action in Superior Court, they would probably have to find an attorney to file that on their behalf. Same with a petition for review. But, you know, there's a lot of us out there, so.
Well, I mean, we have people who come to us who, who's our representative when, that should be an easy Google search. Even finding out who we are and who we represent. But it's not always that simple.
That's really in your purview, whether you would like to add a link on the website, something like that, so that those could be filed at the state level. That's certainly an option.
Is that typical of entities to do something like that?
I would say what we are currently experiencing is atypical. Just an ordinance that doesn't function is atypical. And there have been other cities that have had similar situations, and it has really sort of blown up into real life litigation that was wildly expensive simply because of an ordinance that doesn't work. So yes, you can provide avenues to find this information for your citizens, and that is completely an option. And you guys can vote to rescind the ordinance. There are functioning ways for citizens to seek relief that work versus this way that costs you money that doesn't. So just for everyone to think on and mull over, I think.
I have a question. Who determines what's frivolous and what's, I guess you say, legitimate? Because I might have something I think is important, but then somebody else will think it's frivolous. So who determines what's frivolous? And
I think the board currently is who's determining that. And it's based, I would assume, on whether there's a factual basis. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, they have criteria.
I've been in the meetings, obviously, and the board goes through the ordinance and everything that is included, and then they go through the complaint and what is specified, and then they determine if it fits their jurisdiction. In terms of calling it frivolous or not frivolous, that's not really a term that they have used. Only they have determined if it falls within the jurisdiction that they are described to have within the ordinance itself, if that helps.
And it's my understanding that some of the complaints that have been filed are things that are not behaviors or actions that are covered by the ordinance. So while it may not feel frivolous to the citizen, it's quite literally something that the board can't hear.
Anything else from council? Councilman McCoy?
So all these, just to kind of reiterate, all these 5 options that are laid out, they have a cost to them, correct? You cannot go to Superior Court and file for free. You can't go to the board, you can't go to the State Ethics Commission and file for free, correct?
That I'm not sure about. That one may just be, you can send it on up through some sort of online form. I can look it up while you're talking if you're interested.
Yeah, that would be good. But, so all of these looks like Superior Court, District Attorney, that's 3. Petition for review in Superior Court, I assume that would take.
Right.
That would take, a fee. So all these mechanisms have some kind of fee associated. So we're looking at repealing this where they don't have any way to do it or putting in a fee, which would be the same as every other option that has been given, except maybe the state ethics. Am I correct?
Yeah, and the state ethics is for campaign funds too, so it's a very narrow application. It won't cover your garden variety misbehavior, for lack of a better phrase.
So if I'm understanding correctly, if it was a thing like, say, somebody, not campaign funds, city fund, like that thing in South Fulton, I think, where the person built a $5,000 mural or whatever on their wall.
Yeah, I don't think that would fall.
That would not fall. Okay. I just wanted to be clear about all these options while they are options, there are limited views with them.
Yes.
Yeah, and if it's criminal, you'd probably go like to the district attorney and evidence, and then they would do the investigation, just like any other criminal thing. You'd report it to law enforcement.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, there's a $250 filing fee for anything you file in Superior Court, plus an additional $50 to $100 for getting the sheriff or a private process server to actually serve your complaint or your petition. So, I mean, now obviously it takes a lot more resources and staff from a judicial system than just what $250 covers. Honestly, my proposal with this is probably something like $500 is what I would think. And then you could, just like in Superior Court, if you have certain restrictions or limitations on your income, you can file an affidavit and that will be reviewed with evidence to show that you can't afford that filing fee. And then, just like in Superior Court, you would have your filing fee waived if you didn't have the funds to do it. Again, I don't even think $500 probably doesn't even scratch the surface. I agree with all of y'all. I think, something about the, I don't know. Anyway, I was just trying to answer your question, Anna. I mean, now as far as the criminal, and Ms. Smith, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't do any criminal, and I don't know if you do, but I mean, I think even if let's say you go to the DA's office or the sheriff's office or the police chief or whatever, and they just are not hearing your complaint, I think you can then go to magistrate court, file a warrant application with some allegation that somebody has done something wrong in a violation of the law, and then that magistrate judge will issue a order to initiate basically a criminal investigation, I think. But I could be wrong. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that either, but even that would have a filing fee.
Right, exactly. So that would have a filing fee as well. So, yeah.
But they actually have the people that are trained to investigate, to know the law. You're dealing with a judge in some cases. I think the big difference, Councilman Momtahan, though, between somebody paying a fee to file with the city is that they don't get anything in the end. At least the other route, there's consequences if the findings are there. There may be dismissal if they aren't, but there's an end to get to that can have consequences.
Sure.
Compared to, I'm going to pay a fee, but in the end, somebody may give a little report, but that's it. Councilman McCoy.
Well, if we're instituting a fee, and as the mayor said, what you get out of it versus what you give, isn't that basically like and it's been a while since I took economics, but a fair market society? Isn't that like I made this analogy yesterday, I think, is that you pay out of the wazoo to go to Disney World. You pay a lot of money, but it's clean, it's safe, it's magical, whatever. You pay a lot less to go to Six Flags. And so you get what you pay. You get what you pay for. Sometimes, like, I don't like roller coasters that much, especially ones I think I'm going to die on. So I don't go to Six Flags. I like clean streets and being in a magical environment and stuff, so I go to Orlando a lot. But you get what you pay. That's my analogy, I'm sorry. But you get what you pay for, so if you could pay the same amount or pay a little bit more and get more of a result than you can if you paid our fee, then that's a fair market, but you might be able to pay our fee and get what you want out of it, and it might be cheaper. I'm just saying that it's just basically, and I can't remember what that's called from marketing class or whatever, but you know what I'm talking about. Matthew might know.
Your cost benefit.
The big difference, though, between the free market when you and I go out to choose how we're going to spend our own money, in this case, people are spending other taxpayers' money to file something and to have this research done and attorney's fees and everything else to not get what they're looking for.
I think you're missing.
It's not our money.
I think you're missing my point. My point is being that that they have a choice of what to choose. That while it's two separate it's two separate things. They might not be filing in our court, so to speak, or our ethics board, when they could pay $50 more and get more of a result in another court or on the state ethics board or whatever. So that would be taxpayer money we're not spending because they could get a better result in another court.
I think what she's trying to say is that we won't be the cheapest option for them to vent their concerns. And at that point, they could go and they'll say, well, I'll go vent my concerns in Superior Court, and maybe I can get that. I can go get some relief, or I could just go vent my concerns for free over here at the Ethics Board and cost taxpayers a bunch of money. And I think at that point, you've kind of laid it out to where the person that has the concern can
weigh
make a
their
choice,
options.
and then maybe they would choose us less, or the Ethics Board less, versus what they choose a lawsuit or something of that nature, or something else.
Have we even determined if it's legal to charge the fee on a local level?
I don't know that has been something that we've researched yet.
Okay.
So.
I think it's gotten brought up, but I haven't heard an answer. Okay, well, unless there's other questions, I'm going to, yes, Councilman Carter.
I was researching the same thing you were, and it doesn't cost you anything to file a complaint, an ethics complaint with the State Ethics Commission. It's a free filing. As far as taking it forward, I guess there's where the expense would be. But you can file a complaint with the State Ethics Commission at no charge, online.
And according to Attorney Drummond, this is not an exhaustive list, which means it's not all the routes.
Yeah, I'm sure there are more, but these were the ones that were found in this.
It'd be important to direct people. Well, I plan to keep this on the agenda for Tuesday, and we can take a vote one way or another. And there'll be time to continue to discuss individually. But otherwise, we probably need to move on unless somebody has something else pressing they want to make sure we say now. Okay, thank you. Item 7, Carol Splost. This is our intergovernmental agreement.
Yes, I believe you have before you the resolution regarding the SPLOST IGA with Carroll County. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background, and thanks to Commissioner Clint Chance for the summary. What the agreement or the IGA with Carroll County would be that the countywide growth for special purpose local option sales tax SPLOST would be up to 2.5%. We would receive, instead of our population percent of 8.15, we would receive a little bit lower of a percentage of 7.24. And that would allow each city would have a same type of reduction, and that money would go toward Carroll County, and it would go toward the new sheriff's administration facility and jail. After such time that the 2.5 growth rate would be realized, meaning that once we've reached, or if we reach the 2.5 growth, anything above that, then our rate that we would receive in special purpose local option sales tax would go back to our population rate, which is 8.15. So for the city of Villa Rica, based on the amount that's in the IGA, we would receive just under $15 million based on the $205 million that they have estimated. But we could receive more than that if we receive more than the 2.5% growth in SPLOST. Also, as a point of reference, the annual debt payment would be paid entirely from the county's allotment, because they will have to issue bonds for the jail, sheriff's administration facility and jail. But it would not hold up any distribution to the cities, including Villa Rica. So there would be no revenue delays in distributions to any of the municipalities from the onset of collections.
Could we give a little bit of a context so people understand, like when we just throw out the term SPLOST? I know we should all know, special purpose local option sales tax. We have it on both sides. It's approved by citizens, so we have the Douglas County SPLOST, and we have the Carroll County. It's a 1 penny tax, sales tax, that gets added on to our purchases. And we have to have an agreement, well, the county does with its cities. There's the tricky part. With its cities, has to have what's called an intergovernmental agreement, but they really only have to get approval by the largest city.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're
Add to that
correct.
just so people are clear what we're talking about. So this is the agreement that we're going to say yay or nay to. That doesn't matter to a degree as long as Carrollton, our largest city, says yes. But if we want to be able to receive this tax, we've got to sign on to get our portion.
Correct.
And this is what's been worked out between the county and Carrollton and then the other cities.
Yes, and having the IGAs allows the SPLOST to go 6 years, where if you did not have IGAs, then it would only go 5 years.
Okay. Councilman Carter?
Is this the revision to the, I know Carrollton rejected the initial one. This is the revision that Carrollton is agreeing
Correct.
to? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They passed it last night.
Correct.
Right, they had a meeting last night, so they did agree to it. Councilman Momtahan?
So, Jennifer, could you clarify, when you say 2.5% growth, are we referring to population growth? Are we talking about revenue growth?
Revenue
And
growth.
How's that measured from what point to what point?
Let's see. The 2.5 growth is based on growth from what we expect to receive from this current SPLOST. So 2.5% more than that.
Okay, so
That
based
would-
upon the projections,
the
if we
projections.
received more than 2.5% of what we project, then we would receive those SPLOST funds at the rate based upon our population, which
Correct.
is 8.1.
So we
Okay.
would go from 7.24%
Okay,
until we reach the 2.5% growth dollar amount on SPLOST. After that, we would receive the population, so we would go from 7.24 to 8.15.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? This is an item that'll need to come back Tuesday because we will need to vote on anything else related to this.
That's literally what I was telling her, is that you guys need to make sure it's on the agenda to approve next week.
I
Got
believe
it.
Kevin said you could put it on consent if you would like.
Oh, well,
That's
that
totally up
seems
to
like
you.
an easy one. Anybody opposed to putting this on consent item?
There's actually no motion on this thing. We don't have one in front of us.
It's the
It's
resolution.
a resolution, but there's,
It's just us saying we agree, right, to participate in a sense?
I guess you
We
would have
agree
a
to the
motion
agreement.
to pass the resolution.
that should have been on
It
here
would be
too.
to
yeah.
authorize the mayor, mayor pro tem, city manager, and/or city clerk to authorize to execute the resolution, I guess.
All right, if no one's opposed, we'll make this consent item number 2. Good. I mean, because we kind of want the penny tax, so we need to sign on, and we're not the major negotiating city. So. All right, item B, building development. Mr. Griffin, development update.
Good afternoon or morning.
After-
Still morning. Good
yeah,
morning.
still morning.
Nick Griffin, Deputy Director of Building Development. Okay, so before I get into this list, I've presented these updates to various boards over the years, and I kind of just run through them, give you a quick status update of where they currently are or where they were, a few days ago, and may not have been updated immediately. But I want to brief everyone in the room on kind of our process. And it's going to be a pretty vague process, but what the development process looks like coming through building development or development services. Really, it will start with our recent change to our development regulations with the water sewer application. That goes to our utilities director, and we don't accept any applications prior to that water sewer. So if they get that will serve letter from our utilities director, then we start this formal process, which comes into a concept meeting. They have to bring their rendering, whatever that development looks like, to the TAC committee, which is Technical Advisory Committee. That's an internal staff review. We discuss the project, we look over zoning, and just the plan in general. And then it's time for rezoning or variances, which goes to the P&Z and then comes to you guys, and it gives you all the opportunity to put conditions on that development. After that, we have they start working on their civil plans. They go through engineering, and before they submit their civil plans, they come to another pre-submittal meeting, and that's again with the TAC committee and the city manager. After they attend that pre-submittal, they pay their fees for plan review, and then they submit their civil plans. That goes into review for engineering, planning and zoning, and utilities, along with kind of brief overview from the TAC. Then they need to submit their preliminary plat, usually in tandem with those civil plans, and we start working on that. And what we've recently started doing is requiring the developer to do their addressing on the preliminary plat instead of the final plat stages. This just goes ahead and knocks out that one little ticket, and they send it over to the post office, and then they send it to E911, then it comes to us, and then it goes to the county for recording at final plat stage. But at that point, they've already had those addresses approved. After it goes into review, it also goes to the state GSWCC, which is Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission. It goes to the fire marshal. They apply to GDOT if it's relevant, if they're going to have any kind of access onto a GDOT right-of-way, and also the Army Corps of Engineers if they're crossing any kind of stream. Once everything is approved and reviewed, they have all their pertinent documents, they pay their fees, they come to another meeting. It's a pre-construction meeting. We discuss what it looks like to start doing civil work with the city. So we go into that. At that point, they submit their bonds, if applicable. We have an erosion control bond, a performance bond that covers usually decel lanes, and a maintenance bond, which covers all your infrastructure. After those meetings and all the fees and bonds are submitted, we issue them a land disturbance permit, and that's when the construction can begin. We have a site meeting. After that meeting, we have a lot of meetings, but we want to make sure we're always in touch with the developers and they know our process. We meet them out on site and we talk about their erosion control. We make them set up their perimeters, put all their B&Ps in place. Then they have, when they start doing their utility, they have a pre-construction with the utilities department. They have inspections from Public Works, they have inspections from our building inspectors, and also our site inspector. So various inspections along the way. Even planning and zoning gets out there sometimes. They look at their landscaping at the end of the development. So I kind of just wanted to brief everybody on that because, a few of the statuses, some of them are in different phases of that. So to start the list, we've got Arbors Phase 1, it's completed. Arbors Phase 2, I believe they're in engineering and planning. We have had no formal meeting with the TAC committee. Fuquay itself was issued a land disturbance permit that was recognized as an umbrella. It was a planned unit development. So all these out parcels the commercial components were LDP'd under that one LDP, but what we did, we also made each out parcel apply for their individual land disturbance permit. The fees were already paid by Fuqua, but say Chick-fil-A, we wanted, if they had any kind of site violations or anything, we wanted that to fall on that developer, that builder that's currently out on site. So we weren't fining or issuing violations to Fuqua himself. The apartments and the residential was not under that umbrella, so we've issued Villa Rica Parcel A, which is the apartments, LDP. The townhomes have an LDP. They're working on that preliminary plat portion that I just mentioned. The single family, right now, we've had no correspondence. I don't know if they're kind of waiting or they're trying to market to a potential builder, but I'm not sure. We haven't had any word on that. Fortune Parkway has a few components to it. Actually 4. We've got a roadway component that gets permitted separately. We have an apartment component, a townhome component, and a single family component. Currently, the single family and the townhome is being built by Tamarack. They purchased that from Inline Communities. They will be responsible for the decel lane per their plat, and the apartments are going to be responsible for the road improvements at Old Stone and Pumpkin Town. So we've heard that they're currently trying to market that to a potential buyer. So that's the Fortune Parkway portion of the development. The Gordon Street apartments, they had plan approval, but that lapsed, so we made them resubmit. And now they have an application that's currently in review. Walton Phase 2, as we all know, is close to final inspections and close to the CO. Jameson Town Homes, that's behind Bojangles, that's under building construction. We got the Alta Dorsey, that's completed, been CO'd. Twin Oaks Phase 2, also behind, around the Bojangles area, has 5 lots remaining. We've got Charleston Place Phase 3, that has 23 lots remaining. They're currently building. When I say they have lots remaining, that means they're going vertical. All right. We've got Hickory Level Townhomes, that is completed. The Golden Girls was canceled at the request of the owner. I was contacted by their engineer, and they told me just to take it off the list, but I still want it, even if something's been canceled, I'll still have it on the list for, a certain amount of time.
Can they come back once they've canceled?
They can come back, but they'd have to restart the whole process.
They'd have to.
Yep, so
Exactly.
it'd start with the water sewer
Thank you.
application. Summergate Phase, sir?
They wouldn't have to go through rezoning unless they want to do something different out there.
No, yes.
Right. Okay.
If that zoning stays with the land, doesn't matter the owner. If they get a vote or an approval for a zoning, that stays with the parcel. Where are we at? So we got Summergate Phase 3. I have heard nothing about this development. The Larry Boggs Townhomes, we had a meeting a long time ago, but I haven't heard anything about that either. The Avamore Apartments Townhomes and commercial component, that's all pending. We've got the R-Pit Townhomes. This is another PUD that was approved by council.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Avamore, pending,
Well, it's just,
it's like gone.
Well, yeah, it is marked, is strike through on the actual,
Right.
on the column side, but the note side says pending. So.
Okay.
not necessarily, it's up in the air.
Well, the owner has agreed that there'll be none of the housing, so.
I'll just put canceled. I'll change that to cancel.
You make us a little nervous there, okay?
No, I'm sorry. It's been on my list. It's pending for a long time. I just left it. It does have a strike through though. The R-Pit Townhomes. This is part of the Pumpkin Town road improvements, and that commercial or that PUD. They are starting on, or they're not starting. Their roadway got approved by GSWCC, it's Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission. They have to buy a stream buffer credit, so they're going through that Army Corps engineer permit.
So previously they only had a permit for tree clearing, but now they've advanced beyond that, sounds like.
We have not, the city has not permitted until they get the Army Corps engineer permit.
Okay.
We can't legally give them one.
Okay.
We gave them a timbering permit, but that was to go in, cut trees, and get out. That's all
Okay.
they were permitted to do. But they did get the roadway portion from the state, and that's a pretty good approval. So they're making headway.
So, and sorry, Nick, so why would they need a roadway improvement for the soil and water conservation?
Because it involves
what is that?
construction.
Because
It's over an acre. That roadway goes over an acre. The amount of clearing and civil work they're going to have to do.
Okay.
If it's over an acre, it goes to the state as well as us. Anything under an acre disturbed just goes to us. We have the authority to permit that.
Oh, so it's not to approve the roads themselves, but because of the soil and water that?
Yes.
Okay, I see now.
All
All right.
erosion control.
Nick,
And civil.
Okay.
Nick, let me ask you a question. Do
Councilman
you have a layout, a map of where all these things are located?
I can certainly cut any development that you'd wish to see as far as
I'd like
if
to see
that
it.
civil plans have been submitted. I can take those cut sheets and email them to you.
Yeah, I'd like to see a map,
Where they located?
map showing all the locations.
We have Sean Daniels made a map that I can share with you guys.
Okay.
And it was done when Diana was still here, so a few months ago. But I can share that with you guys.
I'd
And then
appreciate
Mark
it.
Teal actually made a little map with the roadway projects too, so I can share that.
So we can locate these things, because I don't know where Larry Boggs
I'm
is.
sorry. Yeah.
That was my question too. It's not your fault. You're giving updates on all these, but if citizen, and even not, we don't know where they all are. For a citizen, if they go, they wanted to know what all's going on in Villa Rica,
Absolutely.
so that'll be a big help. I know we had one with stars on it and numbers of residents, but that is dated now.
Yeah.
That's,
We can get that.
at least a couple
Yeah,
years.
share it with us
Even
and
if we-
also put it online so the citizens have access to it.
Even if we just added a column or
I've got all
parentheses
that.
that just say cross streets and like, so we know what?
I've got all that information in a
Yeah.
column. It's just hidden on that one.
Okay.
Good, you don't
Great.
have to make
No,
up
I
anything
don't. I
new.
just got to unhide
Great.
it and send that over to you.
Great.
And as far as the map, I spoke with Brecca this morning, and I believe the community development is going to update the map that Sean Daniels worked on, maybe even fine tune it a little bit. I can send you what's existing, and just in the future, in maybe a few weeks, you'll have an updated one. Do you want to wait? Because she has some good ideas with GIS. Sean, our new hire, he's apparently pretty versed in GIS, and he can work a map. And so I think she had mentioned putting
Be
him
sure
on.
you also get it online, because I think everybody should have access to it.
Do you want to wait until it's updated?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. No pressure. I'm just playing. All right, where are we at? South Harbor 2A and 2B, they have 24 lots left for CO. Northwoods 2 and 3 have been issued a LDP, and their civil construction is underway. We've got Connors Landing, their civil construction is complete. They have 126 lots remaining. Water Mist 2 has 35 lots remaining. Water Mist 3 is pending. We haven't heard any kind of correspondence there. We've got Fairway 16 and 17. They're active. 16 has 10 active units, and 17, I will tell you how many lots. If you give me till this afternoon, I can email you. If y'all are interested in knowing how many lots are on 17, I can get that to you. I did this all pretty quick. Rivershire Townhomes has 7 lots remaining in phase 1. They also have a phase 2 portion that's going vertical.
What's the status on the phase 2? I mean, where are they at on the phase 2? Are they
And that's
submitted?
another one. I'll
Okay.
give you 17 and phase 2. They are going vertical. I just don't know exactly
Okay.
how many lots have not gone vertical yet.
What was that, Tracy? Okay, so they're already approved for a phase 2, so they're going.
Yes,
I got
yes,
you.
sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
That kind of seemed like it hadn't even come to fruition yet. But no, they are going vertical. Larry Boggs single family, that we haven't heard anything, nothing formally submitted to the city. We have the Emery Townhomes, that has 220 lots remaining. The cottages next to First Baptist Church, that LDP is issued and their civil construction is underway. Villa Trace Apartments has been issued an LDP and civil construction is underway. Liberty Point Phase 5, that's the last phase in Liberty Point over by Mirror Lake. That has been, they are doing civil construction and they have an LDP. Alma Grove Townhomes, I don't know, this one's a long time coming. This is,
Where's Alma Grove at?
it's on Old Town Road behind Walton Trail. It's very,
Yes.
this
okay.
was an old concept. He wanted to do a memory care and a senior
Oh, yeah.
living initiative
Okay.
and kind of a HUD type deal. And I believe right now they're going to have to apply for a water sewer capacity. The approval
Okay.
has lapsed. It's been years.
Okay.
We did issue them a phase 1 LDP for clearing only. And they did that. They put their erosion control perimeters in, and they kind of cleared the lot, just cleaned it up a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed any silt fence or out there, but there's also a job box. It's just kind of sat idle for a long time.
Okay, Nick, on the cottages, refresh my memory, is that a gated community?
Let me get back to you. I want to say yes, but let me get back to you. And
Okay,
when I was
thanks.
telling you earlier, I can send you like the cut sheets of the civil plans. You'll actually see what the development looks like. And so if anybody wants to see these developments, if you'll email me a list or
Yeah, I've seen the development, I just don't, I thought, I
Let me check
remember it
on
being
that.
gated community. I
if you
just-
don't mind, I'll get back with you.
Okay, sure.
All right. That's our residential portion. We can go into the commercial component right now. We, as everybody knows, we have yet to see a liquor store going vertical, and so we believe we're getting close to that. We've got 4 total.
Can you say, can you say which one looks like it's going to move? I know I'm getting questions
I can tell you
on
that
it.
Highway 78 liquor store by Patel, they had plan approval. We were waiting on a sidewalk fund contribution prior to issuing an LDP. They were the closest at that time, but they wanted to revise the plans, so they're going to have to resubmit, and it's going to have to go into engineering, planning and zoning, community development, and review again. So, the Connors Road liquor store, they are ready to submit civil plans, and so we're going to invite them to a pre-submittal. Yeah, as everybody has probably seen, Burger King is remodeling. They have a very nice playground out front. You can't miss it. Toronto Baking. This one maybe not. You don't, if you don't know where it is, you'll probably miss it going down 78. But their construction is underway. They're a very good company. Peach State Trucking, again, everybody probably has seen this going vertical. They're getting close to CO. We've got Robbie's Food Hall. Everybody's seen that. They're going vertical. They had to make some revisions. And so they've made those, and they're still working on that. IHOP has been canceled at the request of the owner. That was going to go behind Popeyes.
Yeah.
Sorry. They even made like a little shared access easement back there. So that was canceled at the request of the owner. Sunbelt Asphalt, that was previous J&M tank lines. That's over in the industrial park. They're doing civil construction. Logistics Center construction is complete. We have Tractor Supply. That's on Park Ridge Drive. They've been issued a land disturbance permit. Civil construction is underway. Highway 101 liquor store and R-Pit. We are waiting on the civil plans for that development, and we'll invite them to a pre-submittal. Whataburger, we're waiting on a civil plan submission for that.
Is that, does that actually look like it's going to go forward?
I believe so.
Is that in the same spot that they originally proposed near where the old Pizza Hut was?
Yes.
Just curious. When was the last time we heard anything from them? 'Cause
I got a
heard
phone
that
call while I was in here.
Really?
From
Okay.
one of the engineers.
Wow. Okay.
And I got to call him back. We do believe that's going forward.
Whataburger.
And so the Whataburger got their variances that they had a little in-house variance that they needed, that staff did, Brecca did. So yes, they're
Okay.
they're getting real close to go ahead, and we'll see groundbreaking pretty soon.
Okay.
Where are they going?
Where the old Pizza Hut was.
Oh, okay.
We got Wellstar. That's the building beside the QT.
You skipped over Evermore, didn't you?
Yeah, that's canceled. My friend will take that off the list. We got Wellstar. That's right beside the QT, the big brick building, the old east-west building. R-Pit, Punkintown, already talked about that. That was the where they got their roadway approved by GSWCC. That's a PUD. They were waiting on Army Corps engineer permit and to pay for their stream credits. We've got Scott Evans. We issued a existing building remodel permit. They wanted to start some interior work. They need to do some civil work. They want to add to that building, so we're waiting on the civil plan submission. Liberty Logistics attended a concept meeting. No applications have been received yet.
What is that and where's that at?
It's like a spec building type deal. I mean, it's been a very brief concept meeting
Where's it located?
on Liberty Road and off Liberty Road. But like I said, it was concept.
Is that the one that came in for like a variance request about 2 years ago?
I'd have to check on that.
Okay. And then we denied the variance request.
It's possible.
Okay.
I'll check on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Waffle House demo and construction has just begun on that development. We've got the Chipotle. Chipotle isn't complete. It has been CO'd. And the adjoining parcel, we haven't received anything formal on it. I've already talked about the Fuquay commercial. We only have one out parcel left.
Nick, I'm sorry. On the Fuquay commercial, I mean, I've heard that there was supposed to have been like a Circle K there, but then like that got switched with a Chick-fil-A, but the Chick-fil-A and Circle K were there. Is that?
Circle K is no longer going.
All right, so it's going to be Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A and then Tidal Wave.
Okay.
Tidal Wave?
Yes, Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
So I heard that
Oh,
they
they're still
backed
coming.
out. That's why I heard they backed out.
We did too, and then about a month ago they called and said, "Hey, we're coming back."
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, Carroll Road storage expansion. That's off South Carroll. Their civil construction is underway. That's just they're adding a couple buildings. Strickland Brothers Oil. That's right by Bojangles. Their construction is complete. The Camp Dentistry is doing a remodel. Their construction is underway. We've got Fortune Parkway road development. We've already discussed that. They are crossing the stream. It's actually a really, really neat operation to see that. Highway 101 and Rockmart Road is under civil review. Tanner Lab and Morgue expansion. They have started construction on that. The Tanner Women's Center expansion. They are ready to submit their civil plans. We're going to need them to come back into a pre-submittal meeting and meet with us, and then
Are these out on the hospital site or are they somewhere else?
it's on the hospital site. After I receive the plans officially, I can share those. And we permit them. Kona Ice is going over by Bay Springs. Their civil plans are in review. The Highway 61 liquor store, we're waiting on a plan submittal for that. Right now, it's essentially a concept. Structall, we met with this group about a year ago. They have talked about some work that they wanted to do, and we've had nothing submitted formally. And then the Kroger hole, if anyone is curious of why there's a mountain of dirt there, that was GDOT. GDOT ran in our bypass. They ran into so much dirt they had to excavate. They had nowhere to dump it. We permitted an under an acre site, made them do a formal plan with BMPs and everything, and their silt fence, and we monitored that with site inspections. They stockpiled dirt there, and then we've closed the permit. They are done. They don't have any more dirt. That's about our development update. And if you have any, I'm sorry.
That was really helpful, by the way, and when we need to know some of the locations, that'll be great. So I know that was a lot. That was a lot. Thank you so much for doing that, and I'm glad to hear about the Kona Ice. If it's the original plan I got briefed on, I did not know they were coming. It's bigger than you think. If they do what their original plan was, it's going to be more than, snow cone type thing. Yes, Councilman Warmoth.
I see that plans have been submitted. What is the Highway 101 Rockmart Road?
Highway 101 and Rockmart Road is a spec building, which is pretty typical in an industrial park. These builders or developers, they buy a big parcel of land, they submit plans for a building, and you don't know. Then they start, once the civil plans are approved, we're looking at infrastructure, civil work, layout, make sure they meet all of our regulations. Once those are approved, then they can start their civil work, and they will start the building. But it's essentially a large warehouse, for lack of better words.
That's at the corner of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steph.
And it was zoned properly. It's industrial.
Right, but okay.
Sorry.
So no, you're good. So you said, okay, are the plans available to review?
They are reviewing internally. Once they're approved, I can share this. Once they've gone through all the process, they get a stamp by the engineer on city level and city staff level, and they're ready for permitting. The plans can be shared.
Okay, so so it's been submitted, but it still needs to be approved, correct? Okay.
It's under review currently.
Okay, that's where I was a little confused because I saw where plans had been submitted, and I guess I just assumed that they had been, that meant it had been approved.
No, I'm
So-
sorry.
No,
They're
no,
under
that's on me.
review.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's the one that is at the corner of basically where the new roundabout's going to be.
That's correct.
And then I think that's called, oddly enough, they're marketing it as Rockmart Logistics Center, but you're like
It's
a
still a
long
stacked
ways from
building.
Rockmart, so I don't know why you're calling it Rockmart Logistics Center.
You know, some of these developments, like, and if you think you haven't heard of them, when you know the addresses or where they're at, they'll change names 3-4 times, you know, and they'll sell. Some developers they'll buy a parcel, work their civil plans, submit them to the city, and as soon as they're close to getting permit ready, they market them to sell. You know, some of these companies, that's what they do.
All right, any other questions? Any other comments?
Oh, well, I guess my question on the Fuqua townhomes and all that stuff that we talked about at the very beginning of your presentation. I mean, issued a LDP, so
Their grading work is already complete. They kind
right,
of
like when do we have any idea when they're going to start going vertical?
They want a building permit right now, but it's an odd situation because you know the civil work was kind of already done, or most of the grading work was already done by
Right.
Fuqua, so they were almost like pad ready. But very soon, we're working on the addressing. We can't issue a building permit until they get an address, and because we didn't go into like a final plat stage because their grading was already done. We never got to that point. That's why that committee kind of met, and we were like, let's just do these addressing, and Tracy, do the addressing at the very beginning, then we don't have to bother with it later. Everything's ready. We're just trying to clean it up.
Because it's all going to be private development, right? So it's not going to be deeded. So we may even do like an as-built, not a final plat, right?
Yeah, we're going to start making everybody, private or public, do final
Final
plats.
plats, okay.
That gives the city staff the opportunity to go into a development, whether it's private or not, and make sure that the infrastructure is met to our standards.
Sure. Okay.
So we thought it was prudent to just go ahead and make everybody do a final plat.
So how long does that addressing thing
It
take?
shouldn't take long. It shouldn't
Okay.
take long. They have 2-3 weeks. They got to go through various, channels. Like I said, E911, the post office,
Okay.
then us, and then it goes to the county for recording. Recording takes, very little time.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank
So
you.
there's been no time frame as far as when they're gonna start?
It's really hard for me as a staff to stand here or to get up here and give you a time frame on when.
I mean, they haven't mentioned any time frame.
It's
It's sometime in the future,
it's
huh?
just hard. It'd be such a speculative answer that I could give you, because anything could happen with them. I can tell you, hey, well, they told me in a month, and then we've got everybody waiting for this thing to go.
We're not going to hold it to you, Dan.
You know what I mean? So
We're not going to.
they like I said, they have applied for a building permit. When they do that, they're ready to mobilize, bring all their equipment out on site, or they're ready to sell. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to give you guys an answer.
Their time frame is whenever they're good and ready, okay?
That's
Thank
exactly
you.
right. There's times where I've been waiting, or we've waited 2 years for something to go vertical, or somebody to start moving dirt, and we don't know
Things
what
happen.
happens in that private industry.
They can lose their investors.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
all
a
kinds of
million
things,
things.
right? We're supposed to pave these roads, right? But it's raining every day. It wasn't. We can't.
I know.
We can't. And so you can make the best plans, and it'll happen. It just
Right.
gets delayed. All the construction's going to slow down because of the rain around town to a degree.
And it-
Unless they're doing interior.
Primarily curious because how it affects TAD funding on those parcels.
We
That's kind of
are concerned with that as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the Peach State thing, I know that they're supposed to put the red light in.
They are. They're actually working. I saw them working on it 2 weeks ago. So they had to go through GDOT, and then they had to go through Douglas County to get that approval.
And
But
they
they're
won't-
paying for that themselves.
Right, they won't get a CO until they get
They will
that.
not get a CO until they do.
Okay.
Peach State reached out.
In the mic, yeah.
Peach
Thank you,
State
Mr. Jarvis.
reached out wanting to get a TCO within the next couple of weeks. And
A
then they're thinking
TCO.
about operating or getting
What's a TCO again?
a temporary
Temporary.
CO. So
There you go.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
certificate of occupancy.
Just gotta remember
Anyway,
CO.
got me all stressed here getting up on the mic. So anyway, looking to move in around October, but I told Matt I don't even think we should issue the TCO on that until that upgrade is done on the intersection, because they're responsible for getting that intersection, the light, all these different things. And I know that in their TCO, they're only wanting to get their logistics in on it, do a little training out there and all that. But
Yeah, I don't think.
I would like to
Unless it's
see.
a limited TCO where they don't put trucks on the road.
Right, that's what I told Matt. I said, you need to get us the full description of what they're wanting to do in that TCO, because we've got to see that intersection improve before they do anything.
I totally agree, because it'll jam
Yeah.
up Edge Road totally.
Yes, exactly. So we're holding them to the fire on that, but that's kind of their timeline on that. Thank you.
That's a game changer over there. Anybody that's been here for a period of time, isn't it? Getting the light there at the exit. And remember people coming over that hill, we've been dealing with that for years, for it not being safe coming out of Edge Road. So those improvements over there are going to be so appreciated by all the residents that live there. And the lights, so they can, feel like safe pulling out of a road
And all the
onto
people in
Liberty.
Villa Rica that cut across, they use that road a lot.
Yeah. If I'm going to Coweta County, that's back way I take. C, Human Resources. Ms. Lanford, the first item is insurance renewal for 25-26 year.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Tiffany Lanford, HR Director. So we are coming with our insurance renewals for the benefit year starting October 1st through September 30th, 2026. I'm not going to get too much into it because I have John BC here from One Digital, our broker, and he's going to give you a quick presentation on what our renewal looks like this year.
Hi, everyone.
Afternoon.
My name is John Beasy. I'm a benefit consultant at One Digital. I work with multiple municipalities, so I love coming in, sitting, listening, because it really gets me feeling like I'm in touch with the community and being able to better serve not only the employees but the community as a whole. So thank you for having me here today. As we kind of run through this presentation, I wanted to stop before we get into the numbers and kind of explain what the insurance model we are currently in looks like. It's called a self-funding arrangement, where we use a TPA, or third-party claims. We're going to take a look at today, and it really starts with the first part, which is the administration and the consulting side of it. We've got some great news there. We're going to see about a $10,000 savings annually, and this kind of summarizes multiple pages that follow, so we'll kind of hit those, but I wanted to run through this piece first. We do a stop loss market analysis each year. Every year we go through this process. We market out to about 16 different stop loss carriers to see who will come in at the lowest rate. It's very common to move from stop loss provider each year for the better rate or better contract language. In this case, your current provider, AccuRisk and Nationwide, have proposed a 9.49% increase. This is something we would call fixed cost because it doesn't change. It's what you pay a certain dollar limit for each individual that's enrolled on the plan, and anybody that's in an individual plus one. So employee and child, employee and spouse, employee and family. And so that total increase to that number is up by $36,763 from the current rate, which is a very low stop loss increase. This is only a portion of the actual increase, which is nice. So that makes it attainable in a sense. We have two different types of stop loss that we market. We market something called an aggregate stop loss, which is the total exposure risk that the plan has, and we market a individual stop loss as well, which is an assigned value to each individual enrolled on the plan that the city covers, or the medical plan covers, up to a certain dollar threshold. They pay the claims or pharmacy claims until that threshold is met. Now, going through all of those pieces, those combined, and we put it with one provider, so that's where we get that $36,763 from. Now, we did look at additional individual stop loss. Currently, your individual stop loss is listed at $50,000. We looked at additional options, increasing that number to save on fixed costs, but the overall risk that we were exposing ourselves to as an organization was higher than what we feel is a comfortable trade-off. So the additional savings would have been about $25,000 to expose us to $25,000 more on each individual in specific stop loss. So it doesn't equate. If one person hits stop loss, we've lost our savings.
We had a finance committee meeting this morning, and Councilman Montaham did ask the specific question about our stop loss. Could you just briefly speak about what our specific limit is as well as our aggregate?
Yes, absolutely. So our specific limit is a $50,000 per individual enrolled on the plan. So that's employee, spouse, dependent, every single one of them has $50,000 of a specific stop loss limit. So that is our ISL, or individual stop loss number. As far as the aggregate number goes, that is on a subsequent slide, which is $2,498,837. That is what we call a worst case scenario. At that point, once that amount of money has been paid out, you are all done spending money, period. And it is covered by stop loss at that point, outside of our fixed cost payments. Of course, absolutely. All right, so we run a projection of our medical and pharmacy claims, and we use a stop loss number. So what does the stop loss carrier project? And they project $1.5 million. One Digital does our own, and we're a relatively conservative organization, so we increase that a little bit based on our numbers and come out with something around $1.7 million, but that really includes about a 10% margin. So if you take out that 10% margin, we're really close to that $1.54 million from a claims perspective. So what does this mean as total cost, and what does that actually look like? Well, our annual premium equivalent projection, which is where we take the premiums, everything's included in there, and what should we charge for each plan that's enrolled on, is a 4.5% increase, which equates to about a $98,000 increase in totality. So that's how much more we will spend for the upcoming plan year than the current, which, for benchmarking purposes, the average insurance increase of a fully insured plan and across the market in general is 8 to 10% right now, with it creeping up aggressively.
It's horrific. It just is. It has been for years.
I can go into so much detail on that. It is awful. But I'll spare you because I know insurance is the most exciting thing to talk about. When we take a look at our PBM, so your current arrangement, the PBM, or Pharmacy Benefit Manager, that is currently in place, USRX, the contract language with the prior broker prohibits them from actually serving the city moving forward. The prior broker tied himself, or their organization, to specific vendors and had contract language built in. So we did an extensive PBM market analysis. We used a third, I don't want to call them a third party, but we used a specific organization called RX Connection that leaned in heavily, analyzed all the claim information that we could get from the previous broker and providers, and then we provide an analysis on that and make a recommendation. The transparency is exceptionally limited, so from what we were able to get, we made a very conservative number, and essentially there is no change to the dollar value from a pharmacy side, but I do expect to see anywhere between 10 and 15% savings from a pharmacy cost side. I think we'll see a relatively significant increase in pharmacy rebates that come back to the medical plan. When we talk about additional plan designs, after working with several municipalities, when we came on board with only one medical plan option for employees, it was clear that we need to add some additional options for employees to choose, creating lower costing options for the employee, but also creating lower costing plan options for the city as well from a premium standpoint. So we do have some that reflect a reduction in cost for the city and the employees as a whole. And then, of course, the ancillary lines. That's your dental, vision, life, disability, life insurance, accident, critical illness plans. We marketed those. You have a very competitive rate through all of your plans. We knew that before we marketed, but we got something called a DTQ, which is a decline to quote, back from everybody but one provider. Taking a look at the options that were provided, the plans weren't necessarily richer or better for the city, so we recommend renewing all lines with Mutual of Omaha with the exception of critical illness and accident insurance. Those two policies are fully paid by employees, and we have a better benefit at a lower cost through a new party called Symetra. Symetra is a large carrier provider that most people haven't heard of. It's kind of like Brookfield Investments. It's the largest company you've never heard of. And what they do really, really well is partner with TPAs and these third-party administrators, which in the city's case is Allied. And they have a feed, a data connection between Allied and Symetra, so that if I were to experience a critical illness, I would usually have to file paperwork to get that money. With Symetra and Allied, they get that diagnosis code submitted and fed over to Symetra, and that check is cut and mailed to your employees. So sometimes people are like, well, why would I sign up for critical illness? You don't even have to file to get the money that your diagnosis provides now. So there's no extra steps. And if you go get your wellness visit, you get a $50 check in the mail. So it's a super beneficial relationship to make that move. They're the only carrier trying to get into the TPA space as far as creating a data feed to pay out more claims than they currently are. And they also have we call it a loss ratio. They have one of the highest loss ratios from a paid claims perspective. So most plans tend to be around the 50 to 60% mark. So there's 40% margin or profit in there for these plans. Well, Symetra's at 68%, so they're paying out more claims than any other provider already. And they're trying to pay more. So, okay. Any questions about that before we dive in? I know this stuff is fun.
It's complicated.
Oh, super. And if we need to break it down or answer any specific questions, I'm more than happy to do so, so feel free to interrupt me. When we take a look at the fee piece, I mentioned at the beginning that we were going to save about $10,000. That total change is about 5% from your administrative and consulting fees. They do shift and change each year based on utilization, what we're leveraging. All those pieces kind of go into effect, but you'll see there that there is a relatively significant decrease. Usually these numbers go up, so seeing some of these numbers go down is a wonderful benefit. As we take a look at the next slide, it shows our stop loss marketing. I went ahead and to simplify things for you because this sheet is a lot. I went ahead and took out all the additional alternative options through other carriers as well as the additional stop loss because it's not something we recommend. I want to draw your eyes specifically to the first. We're going to go all the way to the right to the alternative one and then draw your eyes to that first green line. There you'll see sorry, I can't read that far away.
I can't see it anymore. I'm reading.
It's $563,000. That's our fixed cost. So that's stop loss, our admin fee, the consulting fee. All of those things are built into that cost. Then what we take a look at is if you go down to the gray line, the dark gray line, I guess, is a $1.54 million. Those are the expected pharmacy and medical claims as projected by the stop loss. And then if you look down and you see that 1.694, that's the number I mentioned earlier where One Digital comes in a little bit more taken. Any specific questions? Okay, I'm going to keep rolling. All right, So we did a PBM or pharmacy benefit analysis as well, taking a look at the different options. Currently, you're with USRX baseline program, and that is no longer an option. So we did a massive analysis across about 13 different PBMs out there. I do have my personal favorites that do seem to do the best job. The one that we are recommending is the ProAct Transparent proposal. While this shows a minimal savings overall of $765, again, that is a conservative number. Usually we see about a 10 to 15% savings by implementing a new pharmacy benefit manager, specifically with our RX Connection piece that helps negotiate those contracted rates and rebates coming back to the plan to help keep it at a lower overall exposure. Yes.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
oh, sorry.
Am I allowed to say yes?
Yeah, you're.
Okay.
But the other one's like 2.4%, and it has a what I assume if the $765 is a conservative estimate, the $3,061 is a savings is a conservative estimate. So why are we going with the ProAct versus the Well-Dine? Am I
No,
pronouncing that right?
You got it perfectly correct. So first, ProAct is one of the more reputable providers than Well-Dine. Well-Dine used to be known as Maxor and has gone through several different name changes over the past couple of years, which in our industry means there's a lot of private equity and a lot of transition occurring within that program. So it's hard to recommend at a $2,000 savings that we might have a poor or less than positive experience working with them. So the ROI there for me lands with ProAct. In addition to that, ProAct has a number of different programs that we believe will be a vital tool to help in cost savings and serving members more positively than they currently have been. One of them is called RX Valet, and they do all sorts of helping employees get medications either mailed directly to their home or whatever's necessary to help.
Okay.
Okay, so taking a look at our next slide, this is where we propose a additional medical plan that is being that I recommend being offered. This plan takes your current plan and adds an additional plan, which we would now call the core plan. And the current plan option that's available, we would consider a buy-up plan. Now, I'm not saying we need to charge employees a lot to buy up to that plan. I'm just saying I think it's positive to create choice within medical plans and premiums for employees to make decisions based on what might best fit their budget, their family structure, and what they need. In this case, we recommend adding this additional plan. It does have higher deductibles, out-of-pockets, and co-pays, but they will save on a premium perspective. Additionally, if you look down at the bottom, you'll see the premium equivalent rates. That's what we recommend charging for that plan holistically, not just what the city pays, but what the employee pays. So that's a combined number. You take those and you'll see that the difference between what we would call a buy-up plan and then the core plan is relatively significant and could save the city a good bit over time and does provide employees with additional choices. We looked at a number of different plan options, and this one we feel benchmarks really well against your neighboring municipalities and what they are providing their employees. Yes.
Councilman Warmoth.
So you're recommending to go with the one at the far
Not
right
eliminate, but add it as an option. Currently, we only provide one choice. So employees either take it or they don't. They don't have another option to pick. And this gives them two choices so that they can either pick a buy-up plan or a core plan.
Okay, because look, when I saw $4,000 individual deductible versus $1,000 deductible,
Yes.
I know what I'm gonna pick. But if that works for other people, then, okay, thank you for that.
You're absolutely right. The one thing we did take into consideration and is well below benchmark in comparison to a plan with a $4,000 deductible is that the out-of-pocket maximum on that plan is lower than what you might traditionally see. It's at $8,000. So in reality, it's a $2,000, like worst case scenario, it's a $2,000 risk to an employee to pick that plan if they were to have a catastrophic event in their life. So from a do you want to save on a daily basis or spend more? This is where that option kind of comes in. It takes a long time for employees to begin to migrate to different plans. They don't trust the different plans. They buy into those low deductibles. And so we're only projecting about a 10% shift in enrollment for the first year. But from a strategic side, we'll be looking to do additional things over the next coming years that would continue to provide more options to employees, different avenues for them to save money, as well as get better care and get it where they choose to get it as well. All right. Continuing on, the next is the Mutual of Omaha Dental. We did a good marketing on this one, did some great negotiation. We do just have about a 5% increase on premiums for dental, which is relatively low. That comes out to a total of just $5,573. Mutual of Omaha is a fantastic partner and rarely does increase their rates. So the fact that they had to go up a little bit, they did that very incrementally, and then it locks in our rate for 2 years. When we take a look at the vision benefit plan, this was in something we call a rate guarantee, which means they do not change the rate for an extended period of time. We will be out of rate guarantee next year, so we will be looking to do a full market analysis, but there is no change to current rates. We did look at possibly enhancing the benefits, but from a cost perspective with Mutual of Omaha, that was not beneficial. It will be more beneficial to do the increase the benefits when we are actually out of rate guarantee, because they're pricing us high intentionally right now. When we talk about group term life, there's no change to this. This is the life insurance that's provided to employees by just being an employee of the city. It's a $50,000 policy with a $50,000 AD&D rider as well, which stands for accidental death and dismemberment. When we take a look at the voluntary term life, we had a couple options on here, but they weren't competitive from a pricing standpoint. And since employees are paying for that, there's no point in providing a different level of service or different contract language where the employee would pay more for. So we keep it with Mutual of Omaha, and they do a fantastic job. They don't require additional paperwork for the separate policies. So if you have basic life and you file a certificate of occurrence with them, they don't need it for the voluntary side. They just go ahead and use that same documentation. When we take a look at short-term disability, there were no rate changes here either, so this is a wonderful benefit for employees. Not a lot to do from a benchmarking standpoint. You all have a relatively rich short-term disability plan. Then the same goes for our long-term disability plan. There were no changes here either, so relatively rich benefit and no increase either. Which brings me to our critical illness and accident policies. Really quickly, I just wanted to show you the differences and why it's being recommended. You'll see on the far right-hand side, the monthly premiums are relatively less. It is just a little bit, but the automation of being able to get that check mailed directly to you when you have a diagnosis code that qualifies just makes it 100% something that we feel is worth the change in provider for. Additionally, you'll note that there are some increases in benefit amounts, so you'll see total increases on there, things going from $1,500 to $2,000, going up to 200% of a fracture benefit already. So those are enrichments to the plan as well. So not only are they paying less, but they're getting a better plan as well. Finally, we have the critical illness plan, which is again at a lower cost. So overall, it's our recommendation to move in this direction. Again, Symetra pays out more claims than any other provider, so they don't. I call it nickel and diming for information. If you say you had a claim and you submit it, it has the right code, they don't blink, they cut the check. So it makes it a very easy process for employees. That was a lot of information. Do you all have any questions?
If I got this a week ago, I'd have questions.
I'm sure.
No, not that much time. Wow. Health insurance is kind of like rent. Right now, it's just Not your fault. It's just the
No.
world we live in right now with.
Unfortunately, when we look at hospitals and providers, they're still struggling to staff. And lots of hospitals and providers are using travel nurses, which cost about 125% of a regular nurse. And so we have people paying significantly more from that perspective for providers, which is causing cost all around to go up. I don't see a change happening in the next 3 to 5 years, especially with pharmacy. We're going to see increases in that zone as well overall from an industry standpoint. But by partnering with the right TPAs, putting in the right programs and taking it step by step so we don't burden employees, I think we can contain some of that increase year over year. And for the past couple of years, you guys have been below trend, so that's always a positive note, where I know some of your neighbors are well above. Yes, and a healthy fund. Be careful.
There's also some legislation being proposed at the federal level with pharmacy benefit managers because there's been an issue with a lack of transparency at times.
Yes.
So I try to watch that when I can and follow up on it and push it with our congressmen or senators. But we'll see
Exactly.
because sometimes those cost the consumer. The insured person is not getting the benefit they should.
Yeah, if you're following news and looking things up, check out the Johnson & Johnson ERISA lawsuits for fiduciary responsibility. It's very interesting.
I do know a little bit about fiduciary responsibility.
Oh, I bet. Thank you all so much for your time today. If you have any questions, please let them know, and I'll be happy to answer them directly.
You guys have any questions for me?
That like almost makes your head hurt.
It is a lot of information. But I feel like it's a really strong renewal, and I think we're going to be moving in the right direction. It's going in line with the strategic plan that we all have for the next couple of years to really make sure our employees are taken care of and can feel comfortable in the benefits that we're offering.
Anything else from council? Okay, thank you. Oh. Did I?
Put this on consent.
Oh, yeah. Starting to lose track. Anyone opposed to this being consent item? This would be number 3.
All right.
Right.
And 4. Oh.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
first one is
and
for the
then-
agreements, and the second one is for the premiums.
Insurance premiums. Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 4?
Nope.
All righty. You're released.
Okay.
All right, Parks and Recreation. Y'all still awake back there? I know it's been long. We've had a lot of presentations with a lot of detail, but it's all important, so.
Mayor, Council. Lisa Deming, the Senior Center
Afternoon.
Manager. What I have is pretty much housekeeping. Give a little background. For over 30 years, y'all have had a contract with the Area Agency on Aging. That's how I consider this, Three Rivers Regional Commission. Back in January of last year, I did the request for proposal. It was approved, which will be for fiscal years 2025 through 2028. So each year they go through to a unit cost methodology where they take our salaries into consideration, rental on the building, the insurance, all utilities, that type of stuff, and give us unit cost for each, whether it's congregate meals that are eaten in the senior center or Meals on Wheels. So with the cover sheet that you have there, it will show you that for home delivered meals, we're looking at a reimbursement rate of $15.99 per meal that is delivered, and then for our congregate meals, $14.85. Our numbers are continuing to increase in-house. Meals on Wheels, we're able to sort of limit. Ellen can only get out so many meals per day, keep them hot, keep them safe, and get them to the people. With these numbers that they have given us for our home delivered meals right now, and there could still be a revision, I'm told it'll probably still come down and we'll get more units. There's 4,222 units that will be reimbursed at $15.99 each for the home delivered, and then for the congregate meals, 4,534 meals. So doing the math, it's a grand total coming back to the city when we serve each of those units of $134,839.68. Just to give you a little idea of how much will be coming back with us continuing to work with Three Rivers Regional Commission on this. So I recommend that we approve continuing to work with Three Rivers. They give us a lot of support. They provide different trainings for us. They provide different things for the seniors when they're needing equipment and so forth, different information. They'll send out speakers. So they're a lot of, they do a really good job with us. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? If we do this every year.
We do this for, apparently over 30 years or thereabouts.
Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 5?
Nope.
Okay, that'll be number 5. You don't want to read the contract. It's federal government.
that's
It's like
right.
100 pages.
Yeah, well, if y'all get really bored one night, go for it. Yeah.
All right, item E, Public Works. And this is the Mirror Lake Boulevard left turn lane.
Mark Teal, city engineer. On July 30th, we opened bids. Bids came in, they were pretty close, so very good. Not a huge turnout. I did talk to a couple of contractors. They were busy with other projects, couldn't bid on it. But we did have 3, and they were very close, ranging from $447,000 to $484,000. The low bidder was Summit Construction at $447,360.97. That's approximately.
It's like $500,000, but we don't want to miss that 97 cents.
$200,000 below our cost estimate from Falcon.
good.
So I think we got some good numbers. And the motion is on there for you. So it's yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm looking at the plans and I might be misreading them,
That's a
but,
bad plan.
oh, okay, good.
Can't
to
hardly
know.
tell what's going on, but
Okay, but that's why I was looking at it. I'm looking at it, so I'm assuming this includes, I see the path relocation on there, right?
it's a little bit, not a lot.
Okay,
Yeah, we do. I think we do get into it with the grading just a tad, but yes, it will be put back.
okay. How many linear feet of the path is going to have to be moved?
I'd have to check the plans, but not a lot.
Okay.
I mean, you're only talking, no, not a lot.
Isn't this the one we went all over in the work session in detail? I mean, everything from the guardrail to how was it going to impact
guardrail,
the
gotta
residents
relocate the
over there?
lights.
Yeah, I know. I know we've talked about it in multiple sessions. I'm just double checking. That's how I knew that the
I can look at the plans and tell
path
you
was
how
gonna be
many
moved.
linear feet, but I don't have that information right now.
Yeah, it looks the same, but I was just double checking. And that, I know we talked about the, that we weren't gonna have to move the fences, right?
No, ma'am.
So it's.
The property owner's fences?
Yeah,
No, we're not getting on anybody's property.
okay,
We're not doing any clearing. We do have some additional guardrail to put up.
okay. All right,
Well, yeah, we gotta take some down too and then put it back up, but
I just wanted to make sure the final thing was what we talked about.
yes, ma'am.
That's all.
It is.
Well, and to Councilman McCoy's point, the whole reason we're paying for this is because something got missed years ago, because it should have all been done by Fuquay based on the study.
Yes, ma'am.
Something got messed up, and it's hard to swallow. It's hard to swallow because we're thinking, man, that should have been paid by the developer, not us.
Yeah.
Okay, any idea as to when this will start?
I have checked. They're supposed to be getting back with me this week. I will have you an answer definitely by next Tuesday, but hopefully before then, I'll let everybody know.
Okay, thank you.
And it shouldn't take them long, but I'm getting a schedule as well, approximate schedule.
Councilman Momtahan?
Okay.
Or are you finished? I'm sorry.
Aye.
You finished? Councilman Momtahan?
I like saving money, but when you say $200 difference between what we expected and what it is,
$200,000.
$200,000. That's what I mean to say. $200,000. That's a big savings, which is I like.
It is.
But it also kind of raises a concern about the ability of the contractor to
They're GDOT
live up to their
certified.
promises.
They're GDOT certified, and then the other two bidders, they weren't very much higher than them. They were within 10%.
Okay. And you,
And,
they're GDOT certified, but, I mean, we ever worked with them before?
I have not, and I
Okay.
don't think the city has. I have talked to some people who have worked with them. Not a problem.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Yes, ma'am.
I know at one point there was a discussion about a, right in, right out?
Mm-hmm.
Just completely closing that out from being able to turn left.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Those,
that was determined not to do that because why?
because Fuquay said no.
Okay, but I'm having a really hard time with 400 and something thousand dollars on this turn lane. So if they are the ones who do not like the fact of, or the option of a right in, right out, why are they not helping to pay the bill?
I don't have the answer to that.
Because we signed off on the plans.
I think it had something to do with
But-
the development agreement. I don't remember. I wasn't involved with those discussions. That was, and I don't think Jennifer was either. That was when Diana was still here.
Right, and I understand that, it should
Yeah.
have been caught back then. However, we have the option of a right in, right out, and they are the ones who do not like that option. I'm just trying to understand.
If I can interject, when Diana was here, part of her explanation wasn't just that they didn't want it, but because of the additional development that's going to come in down that road. We're talking about apartments, houses, things. Trying to relegate all those people to the one
light.
road at Shoreline
right.
is going to be an issue. So it's not based on what's there now, it's what is going to be there. And that doesn't include those apartments closer to Cleghorn that maybe they're going out the other way, the senior ones, but maybe they're coming out, their other options come out that way. That would put them all on the parkway at that light at Shoreline to get all
Right.
those people out of there.
I remember
From
that too.
the apartments and townhouses that aren't there yet.
There was an issue, it would basically need to extend that turn lane because you didn't have enough room for semi-trucks to queue and stack if they're coming in and making deliveries.
So Diana was saying that's
Yeah.
what kind
I
of was
remember
the nix on that we can't just make that
Yeah.
a right in, right out.
Yeah, because I think I asked that same question, and Diana told me that it was an issue of what's about to come, what's not what's actually there right now.
Yeah.
Is that it could really mess up traffic with the development that's slated to come to that area.
That's also another reason why she was recommending that we consider, when we were talking about how much Punkintown, Mirror Lake Boulevard, Punkintown, because it'll be extended, is maybe doing that in phases, and maybe doing that part up there being the first phase, because it's not only close to where everybody's coming home from work, but also because it didn't have the credits we have to pay on the creek down at the other end, that's just a whole bunch more money that they require because we're impacting the creek. Yeah, it's a conundrum.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I had
Councilwoman
a
McCoy.
Thank you. I had a squirrel moment. Does community development sign off on this, or does the city manager sign off on this? And I know this is many community development and city managers ago, so I'm just trying to understand the process of the actual plans, that the plans did not.
That would have been the city manager and the city engineer, not community development.
Okay, I was just curious.
On a project like this, yes.
Okay, I was just curious what the review process, who on staff was reviewing this when
Yes.
stuff like this happens. All right.
Any more questions?
Okay, didn't look like we have any more questions.
Thank you.
I'm reluctant to make it consent item because of the amount of money being spent. A lot of times we don't move big things, we don't make that consent. We don't have to. It's just that it hasn't been our practice to put things on consent that people ought to see voted on individually.
But don't we put like $1 million water things on consent all the time?
If it's already budgeted, I think sometimes, but we can do it. We can do it. I just think, people, it needs to just be really transparent because it's packaged in with everything else.
But this is a budgeted item.
Okay, controversial item. Forget budgeted, there's some controversy around it. What would be the will of the council?
Well, what's
an opposed?
controversial about it?
I'd say consent.
I say consent too.
The amount of money we're having to spend on it.
But there's really no option
I
to not.
I don't really see it as an option. I know everyone doesn't see it that way because of the traffic that's going to be coming down there and what's got to exit out of there when it gets built.
And for the record, I will say I do not like this. This was not this. I don't like this at all. But every time I came up with an alternative to go on the other side, no, we can't because of the utilities. To do the right in, right out, we can't because of the traffic that may or may not come. Every time I have given an alternative in workshops and in the thing I think I kind of got accused of not paying attention to, I have said this, and I am saying it again, we have beat this dead horse. There seems to be no other option, no matter what any of us have said. So I don't know, I just think it needs to go on consent. We got to do something at some point.
What would be the will of the council? Anyone opposed to making this consent?
No.
All right, that'll be consent item number 6. All right, utilities. Mr. Bain.
John Bain, Interim Deputy City Manager, Utilities Director. This item is requesting approval to design and construct a sewer system extension on South Street. We have lots on South Street, both currently constructed on and vacant, that do not have the ability to tie into our wastewater system. So we've done a preliminary design to see what it would take to tie those parcels into our system. The scope of the work is essentially running from just north, at the south end of South Street, just north of Meadowlark, up to the south end of the new fire station, and on that access road from Chick-fil-A. There's no gravity sewer in the area. So we developed what's called a low pressure system, which is much less disruptive than the larger gravity sewer systems you see with the manhole construction and the wide trenches that just tear up, do a really bad cut across the road and property to install that. The low pressure system is essentially a small line that could be trenched in right adjacent to the pavement, and that would allow these properties the ability to tie into our sewer system. In some of these cases, we have vacant residential lots that are too small to support a septic system, so they cannot be built on by the property owner because they can't put in a septic, but yet they cannot tie into the city sewer system. So we address those issues. There's also some other properties there that are currently under remodel. They've expressed interest into tying into our wastewater system, so we provide that service as well. And we also meet of the requirements both at the state and the Metro North Georgia level to develop and implement plans to make an effort to get residents off of septic and tie into the city sewer system. So we achieved that goal as well. It's also one of our items on the Water First designation. So we can accomplish that as well. But essentially what it is designing and installing a low pressure system down Church Street to provide sewer service to those properties along Church Street. I believe there's around 14 parcels that cannot be served right now that we could serve.
South Street.
On South Street. Did I not say South Street?
You said Church Street.
I'm sorry, South Street. I'm sorry.
Working on that one too.
Yeah, you said it has a 2-inch diameter line. That's an awful small line.
It's essentially a force main.
Okay.
Is what it is. It's a force main where each property would have a grinder pump that pumps into this community force main and then becomes city responsibility at the property line, just as any other line. So it's a small force main.
When you say the grind and that it's our responsibility at the property line, is there something additional? What is the additional part that the resident is responsible for? Is that?
The resident would be responsible for getting the flow, just as they are today, to the property line. In some cases, most often it flows by gravity down to our gravity system with a deep gravity sewer line and manholes, and that's the really disruptive part, is installing that. This system, because we're installing a low pressure system, they would just have a pump that pumps it up into this 2-inch line, and then we take it from there. So
there's some sort of pump?
Yes.
That they need to be responsible for?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I knew we had talked yesterday, but I didn't remember that part, okay.
Yes, and so there are a couple options with that. There's what's called a step system, which we are currently installing through a contractor in the development of Fairway 16 and Fairway 17. There are lots in both of those developments that require the installation of a step system because those lots are below the elevation of a gravity sewer system. So we're installing approximately 36 to 38 in Fairway 16 and a little less in Fairway 17. And I may have that backwards, but approximately 50 lots total that's already installing what's called a step system, where they're installing a septic tank and then a pump that will pump up to a community force main, just as what this is, or a low pressure system. So, in my opinion, for those homes that are already built and already have a septic system, I know we've had a couple calls previously about failing septic systems on that street. For those homes that have failing septic systems, they could relatively easily install a pump and pump it up into our system, and that resolves their drain field issue, their failure issue. Mm-hmm. For those lots that are currently vacant, they wouldn't necessarily need to install a septic tank. They could just install a grinder pump system and pump it up. And I put E1, environmental one system on our plans. We can always, which is something we'd like to look for as far as a standard, but as we go through our development regulations, we can, as we always do, we can put environmental one or approved equal, just like we do with flight and solar pumps and anything else that the utility system has, is we would have the language in there to allow for alternatives and not one brand or one only.
Questions from council?
Well, I guess, assuming approval this afternoon, what's the timeline for construction and installation on all this, John?
I would reach out to Brendan Jones, who's the engineer who did the preliminary cost estimate and preliminary layout. We could probably work on a design in the next 30 to 60 days, and then we want to put that out for bid.
Okay.
So 90 days, give or take.
And
I don't think it'll take too terribly long.
It'll come back to us for the approval of the contractor and all that after that. Is that what usually happens next?
Generally, I think, provided we're under this cost estimate.
Okay.
Is that right? Which we expect we could be. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If it's within the amount that if y'all approve this, then it could just go, it's already approved, and they would just go through the purchasing process.
Okay, that makes sense. But like we just approved a turn lane that was within cost estimate. So what was the difference? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the part that kind of gets me sometimes.
Gotcha.
We do something for one thing, but then we don't do it for another. Which is, if that's the policy and that's the way it is, that's fine. But just that throws you
I
for a
think
loop
we
sometime.
talked about, but I don't know if y'all took official action.
Okay.
On the turn lane. I know there was discussion, but I don't think it was brought like saying this proposed, do y'all want to move forward with this?
Okay,
we were
yeah.
going to get prices to see if it was something
That's right.
affordable.
I guess we talked about it at the
workshop.
Workshop, thank you.
Yes.
Not work session, workshop, thank you.
So I think we're absolutely convinced that the way to go is to eventually get everybody on sewer and not septic, because it wasn't designed to have this kind of density and still have septic. So the only two things that I really care about most with this is, number one, that we have enough buy-in from the people that we don't end up like the Old Tanyard Road, which predated me, but I know about it. We built something and nobody hooked on. So we paid for that infrastructure and they didn't hook on. The other thing is, can we have some assurance of a plan of how we're going to work it out for these residents when they do want to hook on with a new development, won't be an issue, but it's thousands of dollars. And so years ago, we talked about residents being able to, we talked about this briefly too, being able to pay a little bit more on their bill to get ready for the time that eventually will happen in other areas of the city that's going to be mandatory probably. But how do you say, hey, it's mandatory, but hey, cough up $4,000 or $6,000 or whatever it is, nobody can just add that on their bill. So can you just give me some kind of idea of assurance we can have for how people are going to pay for that hook in, or how we're going to work it out for them to do it?
Sure. Well, while we don't have a mechanism in place today to handle that, I know we talked about it in a meeting Thursday, if I recall. Jennifer and I talked about it when we were meeting regarding this agenda item. And we talked about the requirement, whether or not to require the connection, and what kind of time frame that would look at. So I think we should go back and have some more conversation to see if we can put a mechanism in place to allow for time. I know short term, if we have a failing septic system, we're certainly allowed tie-in. If any resident wants to tie into it, that's a non-issue. But I do think we need some sort of mechanism in place for us to do that we don't currently have. I did do some research in the interim on funding options, and there are funding options for folks who want to get off septic and onto a local municipality sewer system. There's both low-interest loans and grants that are available for that, particularly if a septic system is failing. So I think we have some information where as we move down after 90 days out or so, when we start the construction, we can provide that information to residents where we're constructing the sewer system.
Great.
That there are funding options available.
Yeah.
And then we can work internally. I know some time ago we talked about, I don't know if it's been a year ago or so, but we talked about paying forward a little bit to be able to do this in the future. So but I do think we need to come to some sort of conclusion
Plan.
on whether it's required or not required.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, that's helpful.
We're not there yet.
Thank you, and maybe grant opportunities too, okay. If there's no other questions from council, anyone opposed? Oh, yes, Councilman Montan.
I guess kind of to the point you raised, Mayor, Old Tanya Road, that was done a long time ago, right? That was before any of us, I think, were even on council.
Yeah, predates.
At that time, those folks on that street may have all had sufficiently adequate septic systems. It's entirely possible that here we are 10, 15 years later that they don't even know that they could option on. They could be out there trying to pay for a reinstall of a septic system when they could be paying to hop on. Do we think maybe we could do a inventory of some sort of all the potential houses that are not and say, hey, this is available to you, and just send them a notice or something or a flyer and say, instead of paying $5,000 to repair your potentially failing septic system in the next couple of years, you do have this available to you, and you could spend that money to connect. I don't know, just as a public information kind of thing. I just thought about that as you were talking.
Well, to be honest, I didn't know if they ever did, but
Right.
it went for multiple years that they didn't, so.
Right.
I didn't know if that had changed at all in the last, decade, because it was a long time ago.
Right.
I know Ashley and her team has a list of customers that are on our water system, but not on our sewer.
Mhm.
We just need to cross-reference that with some of these locations, so we know sewer's not available. Some of the locations might be outside city limits.
Mhm.
But we can compare the two
Yeah. I just think,
pretty easily and see the number of residents that are on a septic that where sewer is available.
just think if the population grows and turnover and, people bought a house. Okay, maybe they bought that, somebody bought a house and they installed it right in front of them. Oh yeah, there's sewer land. They sold the house. You're not going to put that in your 5-10 years ago. You're not going to think about it. But now the septic system may be failing, and they may not even know what's under the ground, the current owner. It's just a thought.
Some time ago, I did put a number on the number of units that are on septic within the city.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used that number to account for sewer capacity. So we had set aside enough capacity to meet the septic to sewer requirements, which this is part of. So I have capacity set aside at the wastewater plant to accommodate for these residents, knowing that we need to make plans to implement sewer
Right.
systems in areas. So what I can do is use that number and go back
Okay.
and look at our system and see what's been
Yeah.
installed. I'm not sure, like Tanyard, I don't know how many
That's okay.
houses tied
We
onto
can
that
check
and
on
not
that.
tied on. I'd have to
Okay,
look at that.
consent item number 7, we good? Because I know it's been long. Okay. Finance. Ms. Long. That's consent item number 7. Yeah, we had kind of agreed and then got sidetracked. Yes, we're good.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Amanda
Afternoon.
Long, Interim Finance Director. This first item, we went out to bid for new auditors. It's the first time we've done that since 2018. We put together a committee to grade the respondents. The first graph on there shows the prices that came back. We had pretty big differences there. The committee reviewed that and graded those, and then that next graph shows the totals that we came to. So we are recommending that we switch auditors and go with Nichols Cawley and Associates.
The information was pretty concise there. Yes, Councilman McCoy.
Has Nicholas Cawley and Associates done other municipalities, and if they have, who?
Absolutely. I did not bring that with me to tell you who. I want to say one of their big ones was Roswell.
Oh, okay.
They absolutely were qualified, and I know when I graded them, I gave them the full amount of points for that section.
Okay.
I believe they've done Douglasville, Smyrna, Cobb County Board of Health, Douglas County.
Okay.
So
Are they located locally, or are they in Metro?
I believe they have an Atlanta office, but I think their main office is in Dublin.
Georgia?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 8? Okay. Yay. Done.
Okay.
I know why we didn't go with the one that apparently didn't want the job. That's the price. Woo.
Next item is budget amendments. We're bringing 4 of those to you today. I'm just going to run through those really fast. South Street sewer extension that John just spoke about. We're reallocating from the tube settler project and then putting it to South Street, $82,000. He's also reallocating another project for a flocculator replacement, wanting to do away with tube settlers also because it was a big project, and put that into the flocculator, $303,000.
I got a question on that one. 303, but the cost estimate is 304, so what's the difference there? That's. Where'd you get that, that other $1,000?
That's a typo. It should be 303.
Okay.
That solves that. Okay.
Next, the West Plant Expansion Engineering Services, and I also caught another typo on that. That first item should be a credit for $300,000, and it's also reallocating from one project to another. We want to look at expanding the West Plant instead of the North Plant, so moving the $300,000 from one to the other. And then the last item is the item that Mark Till presented with the left turn lane. We're using SPOS funds that are currently undesignated, so we want to designate those for that project.
Any questions from council? Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 9? Say what? Yeah. It has H, but
Yeah, I have a 30-minute presentation. I do not have
you'd be in
anything.
massive trouble. Okay, then, Okay, I'll review this really quick and we'll get out of here. I'll go as fast as I can. Item number 1 for consent, the Don Rich Frontier Rodeo signs. Number 2, Carol Sploss, the IGA. Number 3, the insurance renewal. Number 4, insurance premiums. Number 5, Three Rivers Commission for our senior center. Item 6, the Mirror Lake Boulevard turn lane. Number 7, the South Street sewer system. Number 8, the audit. And number 9, the budget amendments. Okay, we're done.